Necromancer of the Shadows Chapter 4180 Chapter 41 Sorry, I prefer woman. The man who was coming towards Evan had narrow eyes, his ears were folded a little and he had a strange goat mustache. His beard was also trimmer in an irregular way, and just from his face, Evan was sure that this guy is up to no good. If Evan had to describe the man in a Wuxia novel style, he would say from his folded ears, it looks like this guy sold his master after poisoning him. Narrow eyes that are eager to peep at his junior sister who is about to take bath. Goat mustache that he is rubbing while watching his senior brother who is being eaten by some ants. Strange beard trimmed in an irregular way by his junior brother when he was in his late years. How can I help you, sir? While Evan was evaluating the man in a strange way, the man came near him and asked politely, "How can you do this to your own master?" Evan asked absent-mindedly while still immense in his strange thoughts. "Master? What master?" the man asked in a baffled voice after hearing Evan. Evan came out from his thoughts after hearing the baffled voice of the man and saw he was looking at him strangely. Only now Evan realized he spoke out his mind loud. Evan coughed to change the topic and said, "Nothing, I was just asking. I want to sell different things, so where should I go?" Although the suspicious-looking innocent man thought Evan was looking at him strangely, he still nodded and said, "Can you tell me what you want to sell?" Hearing the man, Evan was hesitant a little because of the suspicious-looking face of the man, but since he can tell that man was just a normal human, he was sure that this man won't be able to do anything to him. Evan told everything that he wanted to sell. After hearing what Evan wanted to sell, the man nodded and said, "All right, please come with me. I don't know much about these items, so please wait in the waiting room for some time. I will quickly inform someone, who will come to attend you." Evan nodded and followed the man. While following the man, Evan realized the man is quite polite and seems to care about the customers. It was just his face that made him suspicious. I shouldn't judge people by their appearance, Evan thought when he remembered how he created a strange picture of the man just because his face is quite strange. If the face of this guy is not like this, I am sure with his manners and way he spoke with customers, he could have easily become a manager of this place, Evan thought, and looked at the man with eyes filled with pity. When the man saw how Evan was looking at him, he made a weird face and said, while coughing, "Sir, although you are quite handsome, I still prefer women." Evan, who was looking at the man with eyes filled with pity, almost fell to the ground. He looked at the man with his eyes wide open and asked, "What the hell are you talking about? The way you are looking at me, with your eyes full of affection, I am too familiar with this look. Most of the customers that I handle here give me the same look filled with affection. What can I do? I know I was born with this face that attracts everyone who looks at me, but I can't let you have me since I prefer women," the man said with an apologetical smile, like confronting Evan for being rejected by him. Is this guy gone senile? Evan was speechless after hearing what the man said. I am looking at him with pity-filled eyes, and this crazy bastard saying don't look at him with affection-filled eyes. The more Evan looked at the apologetical smile of the man, the higher his blood pressure rose. Evan took out his nether steel sword and said, "Crazy bastard, if you say anything else I swear I will kill." When the man saw Evan taking out his sword, he was scared shitless. He quickly backed away and nodded while looking at Evan with wronged expression. When Evan saw the wronged expression on the strange face of the man, he tried his best not to behead him on the spot. "Just lead the way to the waiting room and bring the person who will inspect the things I want to sell," Evan said. While taking a deep breath to calm down, the man nodded his head obediently and started walking towards the waiting room. Did my rejection hit him too hard? The man thought while leading away. I should apologize to him properly later. I don't want him to commit suicide because I rejected him. Evan was regretting his decision for showing pity for this bastard, but how can he know this suspicious-looking innocent man will have a twisted mind? I swear I am not going to look at anyone with pity. Who knows when I will come across another lunatic? Evan swore and promised himself to never look at another human with pity. "Please wait here for some time. Someone will come to assist you soon," the man said to Evan in an awkward tone after they reached the waiting room. Evan went inside the room and sat on the expensive-looking sofa. The man didn't enter the room and said, "I will send someone quickly." After saying this, the man closed the door and left. Evan sighed in relief when the lunatic left him alone, but suddenly the door opened a little and he heard the voice of the man. I know it's hard to overcome a rejection, but I am sure with your handsome face you will be able to find someone better than me. Evan almost coughed out 2 liters of his blood when he heard what the man said. I swear if this guy appeared before me I will kill him. 5 minutes after the lunatic left, the door of the waiting room opened once again and a man entered the room. The man was wearing a neat black suit and looked in his mid-30s, and Evan was glad his face doesn't look like someone who sold his sector. Hello, thanks for waiting. I am Ron. The man introduced himself while extending his hand for a handshake. I am Evan. Evan shook his hand and nodded. Dylan told me you want to sell some equipments, cores, and the body of the Black Ogre, Ron said and sat down in front of Evan. Yes, Evan said and took out 13 E-rank cores, a storage ring that he got from David, barrier crystal, and the black device that bandits used. Along with these things, Evan also took out an E-rank sword and armor that he found in David's storage ring. You have some interesting things, Ron said when he saw the barrier crystal and the black device. Ron picked up the barrier crystal and inspected it closely. After checking it for 1 minute, he put down the barrier crystal and picked up the black device while saying, "Seeing you have both barrier crystal and interference device, you must have gotten these things from bandits since they occasionally use these 2 things to attack people in wildernesses," Ron said while looking at the black device. Evan did not say anything after hearing Ron and just looked at him, wondering how much he will offer him for these things. Although these things are in good condition, their model is quite old. There are better barrier crystals and interference devices available in the market, Ron said after checking the barrier crystal and black device. Don't beat around the bush and just tell me, can I become a rich young master or not? Evan shouted inside his mind after hearing Ron. I can offer you 200,000 credits for barrier crystal and 100,000 credits for interference device, Ron said calmly while looking at Evan. Evan's facial expression did not change after hearing Ron, but his heart was beating furiously just after hearing how much he will get. I can finally say goodbye to cup noodles now. This young master will only eat expensive meat every day. Can you tell me how much the new barrier crystal and an interference device cost? Evan asked, not showing his happiness. The model of these devices is quite old, so these things don't cost much. A new barrier crystal cost around 300,000 credits and an interference device cost around 150,000 credits, Ron said honestly without hiding anything. Don't cost much. The money sense of this guy is completely twisted, Evan thought when he heard the price of new devices. After hearing Ron, Evan was satisfied with the price Ron was giving him, so he nodded. When Evan accepted the price, Ron looked at other things and said, for these E-rank cores I can give you 10,000 credits each, 40,000 for storage ring, 12,000 for this armor, and 8,000 for sword, so that will be 190,000 credits. Evan gulped down audibly just after hearing how much money he was getting. Didn't you say you also have the body of a Black Ogre? Ron asked Evan. Since the body of a Black Ogre is quite rare, Evan nodded and tapped his foot on the ground. Suddenly Ron saw the body of a Black Ogre start to emerge from the ground. What a cool skill, you can store monsters' bodies inside the ground, Ron said when he saw how a body suddenly emerged from the ground. Evan didn't say anything and just waited to hear how much he will get for this body. Ron inspected the body of the Black Ogre and was pleased to find out the body was in excellent condition because Evan killed it cleanly by destroying its brain using a shadow bullet. The condition of the body is excellent. I can offer you 30,000 credits for this body, Ron said after checking the body. Evan was more than happy to sell Black Ogre at 30,000 credits, so he nodded. All right, just wait a moment, Ron said and calculated the entire sum. After a minute, Evan left the waiting room while looking at his phone, which was showing the balance of his bank. Finally, I can say goodbye to being poor, Evan said, and instead of leaving the city plaza, he went to the 6th floor of the plaza. Professor Elena said not to enter the dungeon for some time, but I need cause to improve my power. I can't wait until the situation with dungeons is solved, Evan thought, and arrived at the 6th floor of the academy. Since Evan can't go to the dungeon to gather cores, he decided to hunt monsters in the wilderness, but he needs something to travel faster in the wilderness, which is why he came to the 6th floor of the plaza. Evan came to the reception on the 6th floor and said, "I want a C-rank hoverboard." The receptionist nodded and tapped at the table in front of him, and a holographic screen appeared before Evan showing him different kinds of hoverboards. "These are the designs that are available in C-rank hoverboards. Please choose one," the receptionist said to Evan after showing him the holographic screen. Evan didn't care much about the design and chose a navy blue hoverboard. Soon a staff member brought the hoverboard Evan selected. Evan checked the hoverboard and nodded in satisfaction. "How much is this?" "It will be 180,000 credits." Although Evan's heart bleed when he heard the price, he still purchased the hoverboard because he will be using this thing for a long time. "Now that I have a hoverboard, I can easily move faster in the wilderness and search for monsters," Evan mumbled to himself after leaving the city plaza. "Since tomorrow is Sunday and I don't have to attend any class, I should leave for the wilderness now so that I can hunt for today and tomorrow," Evan thought after coming out from the city plaza. Since Evan decided to hunt the monsters in the wilderness, he did not wait and took a taxi and went towards the city entrance. He already has everything that he needs in the wilderness since he recently finished his mission. Evan did not use his hoverboard in the city because he never used a hoverboard before, and he was sure that if he use it in the city for the first time he will definitely crash against someone. "I will practice with this hoverboard in the wilderness." After reaching the city gate, Evan exited the taxi and paid the bill. Evan went towards the city gate where 2 C+ rank guards were stationed. When Evan reached near guards, he showed them his hunter card and easily left the city. Instead of going on the trade route from which merchants and other people travel in the wilderness, Evan was planning to go deeper into the wilderness so he can hunt more monsters. After coming out of the city, Evan took out his hoverboard and stood up on it. After standing up on the hoverboard, Evan channeled a little mana in it and the hoverboard started to lift upwards. When the hoverboard reached 3 meters high from the ground, Evan stopped channeling his mana in the hoverboard and it stopped going upwards. Evan willed the hoverboard to move forward and suddenly the hoverboard moved forward like a bullet. "Holy mother, stop!" Evan shouted in a scared voice when the hoverboard moved forward at the speed of around 150 kilometers per hour. When Evan shouted, the hoverboard suddenly stopped, and Evan received a backslash because of how abruptly the hoverboard stopped. Luckily, because of the safety mechanisms of the hoverboard, he didn't fall down from it. Puck. Unfortunately, he still spits out his breakfast because of the sudden backlash, and his head was spinning. "Damn, it's harder than I thought," Evan muttered while massaging his head. He never thought that he won't be able to control the speed of the hoverboard. Evan had to spend 2 hours before he was finally able to ride his hoverboard properly. "I heard kids use these hoverboards in this world instead of the bicycles. Are those kids some kind of lunatics? How can they ride something so dangerous?" Evan muttered when he was finally able to control the hoverboard. His face was pale and his hairs were messy after he was done learning how to ride a hoverboard. "Let's forget about them. Now that I can ride this bad boy properly, I can finally move deeper into the wilderness." After confirming that he was going in the opposite direction of the trade route, Evan finally set off to kill some monsters and get cores. Since Evan is going deeper into the wilderness, there is a chance that he can encounter monsters who are above D rank because the association only cleans the area around the trade route. If Evan went too deep into the wilderness, there is no guarantee that he will be able to come out safely. That is why, although Evan was going in the opposite direction of the trade route, he wasn't planning to go too deeper into the wilderness. Another reason Evan decided to go in the opposite direction of the trade route was that he will have an easier time finding monsters if he go in the opposite direction of the trade route. Evan traveled for 2 hours on his hoverboard and was now around 100 kilometers deeper into the wilderness. During these 2 hours, Evan saw some E-rank monsters, but he ignored them because E-rank cores can't help him much, so he didn't waste his time on them. Suddenly Evan stopped his hoverboard when he saw 2 3-meters tall bears in front of him. Both bears were covered in light brown fur and were releasing the aura of D+ rank. "Finally some useful monsters," Evan said when he saw the bears. He put away his hoverboard in his storage ring and went towards the bears on his foot. "Now that my Prime Core is E+ rank and my Monarch Core is D rank, I should be able to easily kill any monster who is below C rank," Evan thought, and drove near bears. Roar, roar. Both bears roared when they saw Evan and like an enraged bull charged toward him. Evan also took out his nether steel sword and shot toward both bears without any fear. While charging towards bears, Evan used haste skill and appeared before one of the charging bears like a ghost. The bear who was charging towards Evan was startled when Evan suddenly appeared before it. But even before it can do anything, Evan closed his fist and with a war cry threw a punch at the face of the bear. Evan wanted to test his physical strength after his prime core advanced to E+ rank. He knew that a normal E+ rank hunter will never be able to harm this bear with only his physical strength. Evan knew that his body is far stronger than any D+ rank hunter because of his monarch core, but he wanted to know, can he fight against this D+ rank bear with just his physical strength, who is famous for its physical strength. Evan used mana to enhance the strength of his punch, and like a rocket, his punch landed in the face of the bear. Boom, roar. A small explosion happened when Evan's punch landed in the face of the bear. The bear roared in pain when Evan's punch landed on its face. The momentum that the bear created while running towards Evan completely disappeared, and it took 3 steps back while roaring in pain. The nose of the bear was broken and its face was dyed red because of the blood that was coming out from its nose. Ha ha ha! Evan burst into laughter when he saw the result of his punch, because he was sure that even a C-rank hunter can't stop this bear with just a single punch. The second bear also stopped running and was looking at Evan with its eyes wide open like it was looking at a monster. "Now, don't look at me like this because I am only getting started," Evan said to the bear with a wide smile when he saw the shocked face of the bear. When the bear saw the smile of Evan, a chill ran down its spine and it finally realizes the human in front of it is not someone it can mess with. Thud. With a loud sound, a 3 meters tall brown bear fell to the ground motionless. There were many wounds on the body of the bear, but the most noticeable was the wound on its head. There was a hole at the head of the bear like a bullet pierced through all the way to its brain, and even before it can do anything it was already dead. "I thought I will be able to kill this bear with just my physical strength," Evan said while looking at the body of the dead bear. Evan turned around and saw another bear who was also lying motionless on the ground, but unlike the previous bear, there were many sword wounds on the body of this bear. At first, Evan tried to kill both bears just by using his physical strength, and he fought with them like a barbarian, but because there were 2 bears he wasn't able to fight properly with them. At last, Evan decided to kill one bear with his sword and fight against the second bear with just physical strength. After killing one bear with sword, Evan once again fought with his bare fist, and surprisingly he was able to fight against the bear on even ground, although it was a D+ rank bear who was even stronger than some C rank hunters when it come to physical strength. Evan was also surprised when he found out how much his physical strength increased because of his monarch core. But even though he was able to fight against the bear with his physical strength and was able to evade its attack because of his high agility, he still wasn't able to fatally wound the bear with just his physical strength. The vitality of the bear was quite high, so even though it was taking damage while fighting against Evan, it was not enough to kill it. In the end, Evan used a shadow bullet and killed the bear with it. Because his prime core advanced to E+ rank, the power of his shadow bullet also increased quite a lot, and he even used quite a lot of mana to create that bullet, so he was able to one-shot the bear. "Maybe after my monarch core will advance to C rank I will be able to blow up the head of this kind of monsters with just a single punch," Evan said out loud when he remembered how in some novels that he read in past life, some people can blow up the entire body of monsters with just a single punch. "Damn, I really want to turn the bodies of the monsters in meat paste with just a single punch," Evan shouted and started to look for cores. Lucky for Evan, he found one D+ rank cow from the bear he killed using the shadow bullet. After taking the cores, Evan didn't leave to look for monsters. Instead he used the body of the bear as bait and spilled its blood all around the area. After spilling the blood of the bears, Evan climbed up a tree and waited for monsters to come here. After smelling the blood, soon the smell of the blood spread all around the area, and Evan waited for monsters to come near his location. After smelling the blood, swish, Evan swung his sword and the head of a horse-like monster dropped to the ground. After killing the monster, Evan quickly looked for the core. TCH. Evan clicked his tongue in irritation when he didn't find any cow from the horse-type monster. After seeing there was no core, Evan once again walked towards the tree and climbed up on it. Evan looked around him, and now along with the bodies of 2 bears, there were around 15 more bodies of the D and D+ rank monsters. It has been 3 hours since Evan killed the bears, and in these 3 hours around 15 monsters came near the location where he was waiting for them. After killing those 15 monsters, Evan received 3 D rank cores and 2 D+ rank cores. How? Suddenly Evan heard the howl of a wolf, and a predatory smile appeared on his face. "Another one is coming," Evan said while waiting above the tree. Soon Evan saw a wolf coming towards the many corpses while drooling like a hungry beast. Soon the wolf came near the body of an ape-like monster and started munching it. The wolf was 2 meters tall and was covered in dark black fur, and when Evan saw the wolf he instinctively felt shadow power near it, which means the wolf was a shadow-type monster. "Good, my prime core will advance even faster if I absorb the power of a shadow core," Evan said, and was about to come down from the tree to kill the wolf when he saw 2 more wolves come out from the bushes and went towards the bodies of monsters to eat them. Evan was more than happy when he saw 2 more shadow wolves, but before he can think anything else, Evan felt another presence approaching his location. Suddenly another wolf who looks similar to the previous 3 wolves came from the bushes. The only difference was that this wolf was 3 meters tall and its aura was stronger than the previous 3 wolves. When Evan saw this wolf he stopped climbing down from the tree and his eyes opened wide. "C-rank monster," Evan muttered in low voice and gulped down his saliva. "How the hell it came here? I am still in the outer zone of the wilderness where you don't find C-rank monster." Evan cursed his luck when he saw the C-rank monster. Evan was not sure about killing a C-rank monster because just like how humans get a class after reaching at C-rank, monsters' abilities also increased when they reach at C-rank. Evan was sure that he is physically stronger than this C-rank wolf, but he was still not sure in defeating this wolf because C-rank is completely different from all previous ranks. "I shouldn't take the risk and just leave from here," Evan thought when he saw the wolf, because there was no reason in risking his life. Evan just has to wait for some time and he will easily be able to kill these kinds of monsters. Just as Evan thought about retreating, the C-rank wolf who just came looked at the tree he was hiding and slowly started to move towards him. Well fuck, Evan cursed when he saw the wolf was coming towards him. "Don't tell me this guy noticed me," Evan thought while looking at the 3 meters tall C-rank wolf who was coming towards him. But the wolf stopped when it was 20 meters away from the tree on which Evan was hiding. But even before Evan can sigh in relief, he saw the wolf open its mouth wide and shot a dark energy ball toward the tree he was hiding. "Damn. My shitty luck," Evan cursed his luck that already reached C-rank and jumped down from the tree. Boom. The energy ball exploded after hitting the tree, and with a loud explosion, the high tree fell down to the ground. Thump. A loud sound was heard in the surrounding area when the tree fell down to the ground, but the C-rank wolf ignored everything and looked at Evan who just jumped down from the tree. "Howl." The C-rank wolf howled, and like it was some kind of order, the 3 shadow wolves who came earlier stopped munching the corpses of monsters and started to walk towards Evan. Evan narrowed his eyes when he saw the C-rank wolf didn't attack at him immediately, instead ordered other D+ rank wolves to attack him. Evan's face turned ugly when he saw the wolf didn't attack him immediately, because it means this wolf was quite intelligent. "This fucker is testing my strength by sending his minions first," Evan thought when he saw the 3 shadow wolves who surrounded him. Evan became more serious when he realized what the wolf was doing, and his alertness increased to the next level. Evan was not concerned about the D+ rank wolves because he can kill them easily without any problem. But for some reason, this C-rank wolf was giving Evan a very dangerous feeling. "Let's take care of these small fries first." Evan took a deep breath and took out his nether steel sword. "How?" The C-rank wolf howled when he saw Evan taking out his sword, and all 3 D+ rank wolves rushed towards Evan at the same time. "Haste," Evan said, and like a ghost appeared before the wolf who was coming from his right side. Swish. Since Evan's agility was just too fast for a D+ rank wolf, it wasn't able to react, and with a horizontal slash Evan cut the body of the wolf in half. After killing the wolf, Evan did not even wait for a second and charged toward another D+ rank wolf. Evan knew that he had to take advantage of his surprise attack since even the C-rank wolf was shocked when it saw the agility of Evan, but it was not C-rank monster for nothing. Just as Evan came before another D+ rank wolf, the eyes of the C-rank wolf turned pitch black. The hair on Evan's body stood up and without hesitation, he stopped his attack on the wolf and jumped sideways. Just as Evan jumped sideways, the shadow of the D+ rank wolf trembled a little and tens of 5 centimeters long needles came flying at the location where Evan was standing just a moment ago. Even before Evan can regain his balance after jumping sideways, the third D+ rank wolf opened its mouth and shot a dark energy ball toward him that landed just 1 meter away from him. Boom! Shit! Evan cursed when the energy ball exploded near him and his body was blasted away because of the explosion. Evan's body landed 4 meters away and his body rolled to the ground before coming to stop. Even before Evan can stand up, the C-rank wolf shot another energy ball toward him and it landed just before his face. Boom! A dust cloud rose and the C-rank monster looked at the location where Evan was with a proud face. But suddenly the C-rank wolf felt something and looked at the D+ rank wolf who shot the energy ball earlier and saw a dark shadow materialize behind him and turned into Evan. Swish! Evan slashed his sword and the body of the D+ rank wolf was cut in half just like the first one. After killing the wolf, Evan looked at C-rank wolf. Most of Evan's clothes were torn and there were many wounds on his body that were bleeding. That was dangerous. If I hadn't used Shadow Walk's skill on time, I might have died there. A chill ran down Evan's spine just thinking about the earlier attack that he faced. The C-rank wolf was also looking at Evan with a shocked face because it didn't understand just what kind of trick Evan used to survive from its earlier attack. Evan pointed his finger at the last D+ rank wolf and shot a shadow bullet toward the wolf like a rocket. Even before the D+ rank wolf can react, the bullet pierced through the head of the wolf and destroyed its brain. Now there will be no one who will disturb us, Evan said to C-rank wolf after he killed the last D+ rank wolf. After seeing how Evan killed its 3 minions without much trouble, the C-rank wolf knew that Evan is not going to be an easy opponent. But the C-rank wolf was still confident that it will be able to take care of Evan because it can see although Evan evaded the earlier attack, he was still injured seriously and will not be able to fight against it with his full capability. From the beginning, since the wolf came here and saw so many corpses of monsters, it knew that the person who killed them is strong. That is why after finding Evan, instead of attacking him directly, the wolf first sent its 3 minions to test the strength of Evan and exhaust him as much as possible before it can take care of him easily. And now, although its 3 minions were dead, it still achieved what it wanted. Evan was looking at the wolf with a serious face because he knew this wolf is a cunning bastard and if he let down his guard there is a high chance he will die here. Haste! Evan once again used his haste skill and shot towards the C-rank wolf who was standing just 30 meters away in front of him. Swish! With the boost of haste skill and his already high agility, he arrived before the wolf in a blink of an eye and slashed at the neck of the wolf with his nether steel sword that was covered in light blue mana. Although the wolf already saw Evan was fast, it was still surprised when Evan suddenly appeared before it. But since it already knew Evan's agility is very fast, it was prepared for Evan's attack. Just as Evan's sword was about to come into the contact with its neck, a thin but completely black mirror-like sheet materialized before the neck of the wolf. When Evan's nether steel sword clashed against the thin sheet, his eyes opened wide because even with his abnormal strength and nether steel sword he wasn't able to cut through that black sheet. Howl! When Evan's attack failed, the wolf howled and the sheet that was formed in front of the wolf trembled a bit. When Evan saw the sheet trembling, all hairs on his body stood up and he remembered what happened when he attacked the D+ rank wolf earlier. Evan quickly pulled back his sword and jumped back from the C-rank wolf. Just as Evan jumped back, tens of small black needles shot towards him from the sheet that materialized in front of C-rank wolf. Shadow Walk! Without wasting any time, after jumping back, Evan used Shadow Walk and turned into a shadow and disappeared from the place. Evan traveled in shadow form and appeared behind the C-rank wolf while pointing one of his fingers at him. Since Evan was behind the wolf, he obviously targeted a certain place, firing his shadow bullet. The C-rank wolf felt a chill run down its spine, and without hesitation it shifted its position without even looking back from where Evan was attacking. Because of its quick reaction, the wolf was successfully able to evade the bullet that Evan shot at it from behind. Evan clicked his tongue when he saw the wolf dodge his bullet. Howl. After dodging the bullet, the wolf howled out loud, and Evan noticed a slight trembling in its howl, like it was shaken by the earlier attack of Evan. But Evan didn't get time to think about it, because just as the wolf howled, a black aura appeared around it, and Evan felt the wolf become more powerful after the black aura appeared around it. Swish! Suddenly Evan's eyes opened wide when the wolf suddenly disappeared from its place. Evan quickly turned around and brought his sword before his face. Clang! Just as Evan brought the sword before his face, a black claw appeared and clashed against his sword. A painful voice came out from Evan's mouth when he blocked the wolf's claw with his sword. Evan's arms trembled and he took 5 steps back because of the impact. Evan felt his arms turning numb, but even before he can do anything, the wolf once again appeared before him, and once again slashed at his neck. Damn it, Evan can't help but curse because he wasn't able to keep up with the agility of the wolf after the black aura appeared around it. Although Evan was using haste skill, he was still having a hard time fighting against the wolf. Evan once again used his sword to block the attack of the wolf. Clang! Evan's whole body once again trembled, but he gritted his teeth, and before the wolf can regain its balance, he shot a shadow bullet at the wolf. The wolf was caught off guard, but it still reacted quickly and tried to move its body to the side. The wolf was successfully able to move its face to the side, but since it was so close to Evan, the bullet still hit the right shoulder of the wolf. Pucky eye! The bullet pierced through the black aura of the wolf and dug deeper into its fur. It was the first time the blood of the wolf was spilled, but instead of feeling delightful, Evan's face turned ugly because he can see the wolf completely ignored the injury it received and was looking at him with menacing eyes that suddenly turned pitch black. When Evan saw this, he clenched his fist and threw a punch at the face of the wolf. Surprisingly, the wolf didn't do anything and let the punch hit it. Boom! Because Evan used mana to increase the strength of his punch, the wolf was blasted 10 meters away from him. But even before Evan can celebrate that he somehow avoided the attack of the wolf, his body froze at the same place, and no matter how much he tried, his body refused to move. What the hell is happening? Evan screamed in his mind when his body suddenly froze. He wasn't even able to open his mouth to say something, like he became a statue. Although Evan can't see since he can't move his body, there were many black chains all around the body of Evan that bounded him in the same place. Evan didn't even know when these chains bound his body and why he can't even open his mouth. The wolf, who was blasted backward because of Evan's earlier punch, stood up and looked at Evan with its menacing eyes that were still pitch black instead of yellow. The nose of the wolf was broken because of Evan's earlier punch and black blood was coming out from it, but just from the wolf's expression, Evan can see that it wasn't bothered by its broken nose and was looking at him with a sneer on its face. After standing up, the wolf slowly started to walk toward Evan, who was still trying to move his body, but failed miserably. "Move, damn it," Evan shouted in his mind and tried to use Shadow Walk, but was shocked when even Shadow Walk's skill didn't work. The wolf slowly closed the distance between itself and Evan and didn't look concerned at all. Evan just helplessly watched the wolf close the distance between them, and no matter what he do, he wasn't able to free himself. "Will I die here?" Evan thought while still trying to free himself. The wolf reached before Evan and lifted its claw to slash at the neck of Evan. When Evan saw the wolf lifting its claw to kill him, his heart started to beat faster. "No way, I am going to die here." Just as Evan's heart started to beat faster, his monarch core also started to rotate faster and faster. "My life just changed recently. There is no way I am going to die here. There are many things I wanted to do." Suddenly his monarch core released a very tiny amount of black energy. Just as his monarch core released the small amount of black energy, the wolf slashed its claw at the neck of Evan. Swish, thud. The wolf's claw came down, and with a thud sound, a body without a head dropped to the ground lifelessly. Just as the wolf slashed its claw at Evan, who was frozen in his place, his monarch core released a very small amount of black energy, which was very similar to the energy that is mixed in his mana. Just as his monarch core released the dark energy, Evan's entire body trembled and the mana in his body became chaotic. Evan's eyes shined in ominous black color and he felt time slowed down around him. He saw as the claw of the wolf coming towards his neck in slow motion. While the claw of the wolf was coming towards him in slow motion, Evan tried to move his body, and was able to move without any problem. Evan came to the side of the wolf, who was still slashing its claw where Evan was frozen. It was like the wolf didn't realize Evan moved away from his location. In reality, it was not that the time slowed down or the wolf didn't realize Evan moved away from his location. It was just that because of the black energy that his monarch core released, his body and mind became so fast that he was seeing everything in slow motion. Not even 1 second passed since the moment his monarch core released the dark energy. While the wolf was still moving its claw toward Evan's previous location, Evan slashed his nether steel sword at the neck of the wolf. When Evan slashed his sword, a completely dark layer covered his sword. Swish. In slow motion, Evan watched when he slashed his sword. Even the space was cut apart. It was just for a brief period the space was cut apart and returned to normal, but Evan, who was in that special state, clearly saw the broken space barrier. The sword came into the contact with the neck of the C-rank wolf, and like a hot knife passing through the butter, his sword severed the head of the wolf. Thud. Just as Evan severed the head of the wolf, he returned to his normal state as he watched the body of the wolf fall down to the ground motionless. The wolf's severed head still had the same expression on its face that it was showing while slashing at Evan. Till the last moment the wolf didn't realize that it is already dead. Only 1 second passed since the moment Ethan's monarch core released that black energy and the wolf died. Suddenly Evan fell to the ground and screamed in pain. Blood started to come out from his eyes, nose, and ear. What the hell is happening? Evan shouted in a pain-filled voice because he never experienced pain like this before. Cough. Evan started to cough out blood and he felt his inner organs were being destroyed by something. The mana in his body was very chaotic and was causing internal damage to his body. I have to control mana in my body or I will die. Evan gritted his teeth and tried to control the mana in his body. Crack. Suddenly Evan's bones started to crack and the pain was so great that he almost passed out. Damn, calm down already, Evan shouted when he wasn't able to control his chaotic mana. But just when Evan felt he will not be able to control his mana, his monarch core, which was still rotating at crazy speed, started to slow down and the mana in his body also started to calm down. In 10 minutes his monarch core returned to normal and Evan's chaotic mana also calmed down. Evan was laying on the ground while breathing heavily. His entire face was covered in blood that came out from his eyes, nose, and mouth. His entire body was aching and he was on the verge of passing out. I can't stay here any longer. More monsters will soon come here. After smelling the blood, Evan thought while trying to get up. When he tried to get up he felt like his entire body was breaking apart. Just what the hell happened when that wolf attacked me? Evan sat up while still trying to understand what happened when the wolf was about to kill him. I have to check for the cause quickly. Although it was dangerous, Evan still can't leave without checking for the cause. After all, he killed 3D plus rank and 1 C rank shadow monster. If Evan got a C rank shadow core, he was confident that he will be advanced to D rank with his prime core. Evan took out some healing potions and drank them. He felt a refreshing feeling spreading into his entire body and his pain eased a little. It still hurt like hell. Evan complained while standing up with difficulty. Evan first checked the body of C-rank wolf since its body was laying right next to him. At least give me your cow for almost killing me, you bastard, Evan said while looking near the heart of the wolf. Suddenly Evan felt his hand touch something solid. He quickly grabbed the object and pulled out his hand. When Evan pulled out his hand, he was holding a black core that was at least 2 times bigger than a D+ rank core. At least I didn't suffer for nothing, Evan said. When he saw the core, Evan put away the C rank core and searched the body of 3D+ rank wolves. Luckily Evan got 1 D+ rank cow from those 3 wolves. With all the cores that I collected, I should be able to push my prime core to D rank, Evan muttered to himself after putting away the core in his storage ring. Evan used his shadow storage skill and put away the body of C rank wolf in it. Now I should leave from here before any new monster shows up, Evan said and took out his hoverboard. He stood up on his hoverboard and went towards the city entrance of the Astrate City. Just what happened when that wolf attacked me. Now that Evan left the dangerous area, he finally got time to think about the things that happened to him. Evan opened his status window to see if there was something, and he saw 2 new notifications before him. You have got 1 unit of shadow energy. You have acquired a new title, the Rule Breaker. Evan opened his status window to see if there was something, and he saw 2 new notifications before him. You have got 1 unit of shadow energy. You have acquired a new title, the Rule Breaker, shadow energy, £1 ANA cents £1 at a inverted question mark caret a broken bar rule breaker. You are the first person who has acquired a higher level energy without reaching hash at £1 at. This is why you are given the title Rule Breaker. The title has the following effects: you can enter the Tower of Ascension after reaching A rank. Evan just looked at his status window with his eyes wide open and can't help but say, just what the hell is this? After seeing his status window, Evan didn't understand anything. Evan took a deep breath to calm down his beating heart and once again looked at his status window. Shadow energy, £1 ANA cents £1 at a inverted question mark caret a broken bar. Why there are these strange symbols instead of information? Evan muttered when he saw the strange symbols instead of information. A higher level energy. Evan looked at the details of his title where it was showing he got this title because he acquired a higher level energy without reaching a certain level of power. Evan was sure that he wasn't able to see the details of the shadow energy because he is currently too weak. I must have gotten this title because of shadow energy, Evan said, and looked at the effects of the title, which was showing just 1 effect currently, and there was a question mark there, which means more effects of the title will unlock in the future when he will become more powerful. Tower of Ascension. This was the only thing Evan have information, and he was truly happy about the fact that he can enter the Tower of Ascension after reaching A rank. According to the records that Evan read in the Academy's library, the Tower of Ascension is a different type of dungeon where people can enter only after reaching S rank. The highest level a person can achieve in a world is S rank, and in order to break past the limit of S rank you have to enter the Tower of Ascension. If you successfully cleared the Tower of Ascension, you will be able to surpass S rank and will reach a higher world than a world. According to the records, your core will also evolve when you break past the limit of S rank, and there is a very low chance even your race will change after you break past the limit of S rank. Evan was excited about this title because he can enter the Tower of Ascension even without reaching S rank. Evan is sure that he has the potential of reaching S rank with the help of his Monarch core, but the problem is that he will have to get many S rank cores to advance his Monarch core and his Prime core to S rank. But there are very few S rank dungeons in a world, and most of these dungeons are controlled by Hunter Association or large guilds. If in the future Evan wants to enter the S rank dungeon, he will have to work for association or join a guild that has control over an S rank dungeon. Honestly, Evan does not want to work for the association or join a guild because there are many restrictions you have to follow if you join any of them. Evan likes to act alone, and if he works with someone there is a high chance they will find out about his Monarch core. But now with the help of his title, Evan doesn't have to join the association or any guild because he can enter the Tower of Ascension without reaching S rank. Reaching A rank is also quite difficult because these A rank dungeons are also controlled by Hunter Association and guilds, but unlike S rank dungeons you can enter an A rank dungeon even without joining them. But if you enter a dungeon that is controlled by association or guild without joining them, you will have to give 50% of everything that you got inside the dungeon to them. But what will happen if I enter the tower without reaching S rank? After clearing the tower, will I become S rank, or I will skip the S rank and directly break past it? Evan muttered in confusion. More importantly, can I even clear the Tower of Ascension with the power of A rank? Evan had lots of questions, but there was no one who can answer his question. But Evan had a feeling that he can clear the tower even without reaching S rank, because along with his Prime core, he also has his Monarch core. I think I will be able to clear the tower if I get a good class after reaching C rank. Name, Evan. Rank, E plus Monarch core. Rank, D. Strength, E plus Agility, E plus Mana, E plus Stamina, E plus Intelligence, E plus Luck, C. Charm, C plus Shadow Energy, 1 unit skill: Shadow Walk, Haste, Shadow Bullet Physique: Shadow Monarch Physique Title, Rule Breaker, Job: None. There were two changes in Evan's status window. Now it was showing he have 1 unit of shadow energy, and his title section was also showing Rule Breaker. Evan still doesn't know why there are still question marks in his title section, but he knew when he will become stronger he will know eventually. Seriously, there are so many things I don't know, and I am sure it will take a lot of time for me to find out about everything, Evan said in a tired voice and closed his status window. I should just focus on improving my strength. With the cores I got from this hunting session I should be able to reach D rank with my prime core. After reaching D rank with my prime core I can once again focus on improving the rank of my monarch core, Evan said, and a small smile appeared on his face. Just thinking about the possibility of what will when his monarch core will reach C rank made him excited. Evan soon came back to the entrance of the Astrate City and quickly went back to the city. At first, Evan was planning to hunt for 2 days, but because of his earlier fight against the C-rank wolf, he can't hunt anymore in the wilderness. Because of using shadow energy, Evan's entire body was aching and he was even having difficulty staying conscious. Evan knew that if he stay in the wilderness in this condition there is a high chance of him dying when he came across a monster. So he returned to the city without any hesitation, and although he came back early he was fine with it, because with the cores he got after hunting today he can easily push his prime core to D rank. After entering the city, Evan quickly found a hotel that was closest to the city entrance and quickly went there. After arriving at the hotel, Evan booked a room and didn't even care about its price. Just as Evan entered his booked room and saw the bed, he fall on it like a dead man. Evan was barely holding his conscience after using the shadow energy. His mind was too tired and his whole body was screaming in pain, so just as he lay down on the soft bed all his strength disappeared and he fall asleep. Because of how exhausted Evan's body was after using shadow energy, he slept for more than 12 hours and woke up the next day. It's still hurting. When the next day Evan tried to stand up, he found his body was still not recovered and he was still feeling pain even while moving his body. Damn it, I just used that energy for 1 second and almost died there, Evan muttered while going toward the bathroom. Evan first took a long bath because he was still covered in blood after fighting against those monsters. After taking bath, when Evan came out of the bathroom and analyzed his body, he found although his body was aching all over, he can feel his physical strength increase a little bit after using shadow energy. On the status window, there is no change in my strength and other states, but I can clearly feel my body is more powerful than before, Evan said while rubbing his chin. Looks like my body became more strong after using shadow energy. After analyzing his body, Evan wore some casual clothes and sat down on the bed. Let's push my prime core to D rank so I can once again focus on my monarch core. Evan took out all the cores that he got from his hunt yesterday and put them in front of him. 3 D rank cores, 4 D plus rank, and 1 C rank core. These should be enough, Evan said while picking up 1 D rank core. Evan started to refine D rank cores and in just 5 minutes refined all 3 D rank cores. After refining D rank cores, Evan started to refine D plus rank cores. It was the first time Evan was refining a D plus rank, and when he started to refine the D plus rank core he was surprised that the energy inside the D plus rank core was more than 2 times that of the D rank core. Evan continued to refine the D plus rank cores and his prime core slowly but steadily started to approach the limit of the E plus rank. It took Evan more than 20 minutes to refine all the D plus rank cores, and he can feel he just needs a little more energy to reach D rank with his prime core. Evan picked up the C rank core and started to refine it. There is too much energy inside it, Evan muttered while refining the C rank core. He can feel there was at least 4 times more energy than a D plus rank inside this C rank core. After 15 minutes, when Evan refined around 1/4 of the C rank core, his prime core suddenly stopped absorbing more energy and the surrounding mana started to rush toward him. Evan dropped the C rank core and focused on his prime core, which was advancing to the D rank. Everything was going smoothly and his core was absorbing surrounding mana to complete its evolution. But suddenly a black water drop that was hovering around his heart where his monarch core was located moved towards his prime core. Evan, who was focusing on his prime core, didn't feel anything at first, but when the black water drop came near his prime core, his heart skipped a beat and he tried to control that black water drop. When Evan tried to control the black water drop, which was actually 1 unit of shadow energy, it stopped near his prime core. Swish! But suddenly a strong suction force came out from the prime core and absorbed the 1 unit of shadow energy. Fuck! Evan cursed when his prime core absorbed the shadow energy, and even before he can think anything else, the mana from the surrounding rushed towards him with even more force. A small mana whirlpool formed above Evan's head and his prime core started to absorb a large amount of mana. Although the size of the whirlpool was much smaller than the whirlpool which was formed when his monarch core advanced to D rank, it was still larger than before. I am not feeling any pain. Surprisingly, Evan didn't feel any pain. When his prime core absorbed shadow energy, he thought it will break apart because it is a higher level of energy. After 1 minute, the whirlpool above his head disappeared and his prime core successfully advanced to D rank. Even before he can assess the change in his prime core, some notifications started to appear before him. You successfully refined 1 unit of shadow energy with your prime core. Your prime core mutated because of the shadow energy. Because of the mutation, you successfully refined 1 unit of shadow energy with your prime core. Your prime core mutated because of the shadow energy. Because of the mutation, when you absorb a shadow core using your prime core, there is a 2% chance you will receive one of the skills of the monster from whom the core was extracted. Boom! Suddenly a large amount of energy came out from Evan's prime core and started to refine his body. Evan felt his mana reserve double, and his physical strength increased to a completely different level. The pain that Evan was feeling after using the shadow energy started to lessen, and in just 1 minute the pain completely disappeared. Soon his prime core also stopped releasing energy that was refining his body and successfully stabilized at D rank. Evan stood up after his core stabilized and checked his body. I am not sure, but I think my physical strength is increased by at least 2 times, Evan muttered in a shocked voice, because he never expected that his prime core will mutate and his physical strength will increase by 2 times. Evan's physical strength was already compared to a C rank monster, but now he himself doesn't know just how powerful his physical strength is. Looks like I will not have to wait for a long time before I will be able to kill monsters with just a single punch, Evan muttered while punching the air in front of him. When Evan punched in front of him, a small gust of wind was created. After checking his physical condition, Evan once again looked at the notification that he got earlier, and a big smile appeared on his face. I never expected that my prime core will get a mutation because of shadow energy. When Evan absorbs cores using his monarch core, there is a 3% chance he will receive a random skill of the monster from whom the core was extracted. There is no restriction on which type of core he absorbs using his monarch core. There is a 3% chance he can get a skill, but although his prime core mutated, he can just get the skill if he absorbs the shadow type core, and the chances of getting the skill are also lower than his monarch core. Even if there is only a 2% chance of getting a skill, it is already more than enough, and I can clearly feel my prime core became more powerful than before, Evan said in a satisfied voice while checking his body. Raw, in a dark world, far away from Aurora World, a completely black 50 meters tall monster roared in pain and fell to the ground motionless. There was a large hole in the stomach of the monster and black blood was flowing out like a river from the wound. The surprising thing was that even though the monster was dead, its aura was so strong that even an S-rank hunter will not be able to stand before it. Suddenly another monster who was 20 meters tall and looked like a T-Rex approached the body of the monster and started to eat it. The aura that the monster was releasing was even more terrifying than the dead monster. Suddenly the T-Rex-type monster who was eating the corpse of the monster stopped eating and looked behind it with a face full of fear and placed its head on the ground like a loyal servant. Some distance away from the T-Rex-type monster there was a large castle which was made from black stones. Even though there was no sun in this world and the area was completely dark, for some reason the black castle was still visible. In the castle, a figure, a beautiful female, was sitting on a black throne with her eyes closed. Suddenly the female opened her eyes and her deep black eyeballs that were as deep as an abyss shone in black color. Strange, did I sense it wrong? After a moment a confused look appeared on the beautiful face of the female and she stood up from her throne. When the female stood up, her figure was revealed in full glory. She was 190 centimeters tall and had long raven hair which matches the long black dress that she was wearing. She had thin eyebrows, a small nose, and black lips which made her look like an alluring demoness. After standing up, the eyes of the female once again started to shine in deep black color and she stood in the same place without moving. Time continued to pass and the female stood in the same place while her eyes shone in black color like searching for something. After more than 15 hours the eyes of the female returned to normal and she said while massaging her eyes, "I must have sensed it wrong. I searched the entire world but didn't find any traces of shadow energy." Just as the female said this, her face changed because she once again felt someone using shadow energy. But when she tried to find who was using it, she wasn't able to find anything. "I am sure it was shadow energy, then why I can't locate who is using it," the female said, and a deep frown appeared on her face. But suddenly a shocked look appeared on her face and she muttered, "There can only be one reason I wasn't able to find the person who used the shadow energy, but that is impossible." The female shook her head and said, "There is no way someone awakens shadow energy in a lower world where I can't see because of world restrictions." But her face changed once again and she looked at a high-level platform behind her throne where she was sitting earlier. On the high platform, there was another black throne, but this throne was at least 2 times bigger than the throne of the female. Even though there was no one sitting on that throne, it was releasing a pressure that made everyone kneel just by looking at it. When the female looked at the throne, her eyes started to turn watery and she muttered, "Could it be that Master is finally about to come back?" Evan was unaware that someone tried to search for him because of his shadow energy but wasn't able to find him. Evan was currently sitting on a bed while holding the C-rank core. He only absorbed 1/4 energy of the core before his prime core advanced to D rank, so there was still 3/4 of energy remaining in the core. "Let's absorb it using Monarch Core," Evan muttered and popped the core inside his mouth. Now that his prime core also advances to D rank just like his Monarch Core, he can focus on his Monarch Core without worrying about destroying his prime core. Just as the core touched Evan's tongue, the core started to melt and turned into energy. His Monarch Core started to rotate and the energy of the C-rank core rushed towards it. When the energy arrived near his Monarch Core, it sucked all the energy of the core like a black hole. Unlike his prime core, which took around 15 minutes to absorb little energy of the C-rank core, his Monarch Core absorbed all the energy in just 10 seconds, and Evan can't help but sigh when he felt his Monarch Core barely advance after absorbing the 3/4 energy of a C-rank core. But before he can think of anything else, a notification appeared before him. "You have received Dimensional Shadow Needles skill." Huh? Evan was taken aback when he saw the notification but quickly understood that the 3% chance of getting a skill triggered when he absorbed that C-rank core. Ha ha ha! Evan burst into laughter and said, "Looks like the Lady of Luck fall in love with me after seeing my handsome face. First my prime core mutated and now I also got a skill." Evan quickly looked at the details of the skill. Although from the name he can already guess it is the skill that the wolf used during their fight when many needles attacked him from the shadow. Dimensional Shadow Needles. You can use all shadows within 10 meters of your range as a medium to shoot up to 10 needles at a time. Evan read the details of the skill and his eyes shined because this skill was perfect for a surprise and a sneak attack. Evan looked around the room and after seeing the shadow of the mirror he extended his hand and used his new skill. Just as Evan activated his skill, Evan felt a connection with the shadow of the mirror, and the next second 10 sharp needles, which were 3 centimeters in length, shot towards the ceiling of the room from the shadow of the mirror. Before the needles hit the ceiling of the room, Evan quickly cancelled his skill and all needles disappeared just before hitting the ceiling. There is no way Evan will damage the ceiling of the hotel room. He doesn't want to pay extra money for the damage. Just as Evan cancelled his skill, his eyes opened wide because more notifications appeared before him. Shadow Bullet and Dimensional Shadow Needles skills are compatible with each other. Do you want to merge both skills into one? Yes/no. What the hell is going on? Evan was dumbfounded when he saw the notifications in front of him because it was the first time he heard that someone can merge their skill. Is it also the effect of my monarch core? Evan wondered, but he quickly stopped thinking about useless things and without hesitation pressed yes. Just as Evan pressed yes, he felt his monarch core start to spin faster, and the next second Evan was shocked when his monarch core started to suck his mana, and in just 5 seconds it absorbed 30% of his total mana. The monarch core continued to absorb his mana for 10 more seconds, and when he only had 30% mana left, it finally stopped absorbing his mana. Just as monarch core stopped absorbing mana, more notifications appeared before him. Skills Shadow Bullet and Dimensional Shadow Needles are being merged. Successfully merged both skills. You have received skill Dimensional Shadow Bullets. Dimensional Shadow Bullets. You can use all shadows within 20 meters of your range as a medium to shoot up to 5 shadow bullets at a time. The power of shadow bullets depends on the mana you used in creating them. There is a 5% chance that the defender will become blind for 3 seconds after being hit by shadow bullets. PFFF ha 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 ha. Evan tried to hold back his laughter, but in the end once again burst into laughter. Today is truly my lucky day. Good things are happening with me one after another. Evan was very happy with the new skill that he received after merging both Shadow Bullet and Dimensional Shadow Needles. Evan looked at the shadow of the mirror once again and tried his skill. He once again felt a connection with the shadow of the mirror, and suddenly 5 dark bullets shot out from the shadow towards the ceiling. Evan once again cancelled the skill before the bullets hit the ceiling and nodded his head. The range of the skill increased to 20 meters from the earlier 10 meters, and now he can shoot shadow bullets instead of needles using shadows around him. Not only that, now the effect of the blindness will last for 3 seconds instead of the previous 2 seconds if the effect of the shadow bullet is activated. It will be a lot easier for me to hunt down high-rank monsters from now on, Evan muttered while thinking about the scene where he just snapped his fingers and suddenly shadow bullets shot out from the shadow of the monster, killing it even before it can react. Just thinking about this scene made his blood boil. So what if I can't turn monsters into a meat paste with just a single punch? Now I can kill them with just a snap of my finger, Evan said while nodding his head. 6 hours later, Evan can be seen walking toward the academy. Every person who saw Evan stepped aside and didn't dare to come near him. Wherever Evan went, people quickly walked away from the not wanting to stand near him. People were avoiding Evan like he was a plague. Evan didn't care about people and continued to walk toward the academy. His face was lifeless and he was releasing an extreme aura of depression and poverty. His depression aura was so strong that it was leaking out, and whoever saw him doesn't want to come near him. Remembering what happened to him a few hours ago, Evan felt his heart is about to burst and he wanted to die. Evan's lifeless eyes were looking at his phone screen that was showing his bank balance. Just a few hours ago he had hundreds of thousands of credits, but currently, his bank balance was showing just 3,000 credits. Why? Evan muttered in a depressed voice. Why is this happening to me? After finding out that he can even merge skills with his Monarch core as long as they are compatible, Evan thought about how he can get more skills. When Evan thought about this, he suddenly remembered the details of his Shadow Monarch physique. He quickly opened his status window and looked at it once again to make sure he didn't remember wrong. Shadow Monarch physique: one of the forbidden physiques that exists in the world. It allows you to form a Monarch core inside your heart. The Monarch core can absorb 100 power of a core. While absorbing the core, there is a 3% chance that you will receive a skill of the monster from which the core was extracted. Evan's breathing turned heavy after reading the details and he tried his best to calm down. I can get skills as long as I absorb the energy of a core through my Monarch core, Evan muttered, and he wanted to beat down his past self for ignoring this important detail. Since I can get skills from any core, then I just have to buy F-rank cores and I will be able to get many skills. With the current amount of money I have, I can easily buy F-rank cores. Evan quickly got up and left the hotel. Evan came to City Plaza and bought more than 100 F-rank cores. There is just a 3% chance of getting skills, so Evan wanted to get at least 3 skills, if not more. After buying the codes, Evan found a hotel near the city plaza and booked a room to absorb the core there. Although he was dirt poor after spending all the money he had on cores, he was so excited that instead of going back to the academy he booked a room in the hotel. After booking the room, Evan quickly went in. His heart was filled with excitement and he was wondering what kind of skills he will get. Suddenly 5 hours and 30 minutes later, everyone in the hotel felt a depressing and at the same time gloomy aura trying to engulf them. Some people were horrified when they felt the depressing aura. Just breathing inside that aura made them want to suicide. That aura was too sinister. Even the hotel staff was horrified by what was happening. While the hotel staff and the guests were panicking and were thinking about calling the Hunter Association for help, the door of Evan's room opened and he walked out. There was no emotion on Evan's face and his eyes were lifeless, like he lost everything in his life. Holy mother of fat buffalo, what the hell is wrong with this guy? The receptionist, who was about to call the Hunter Association to tell them they were under attack by an unknown hunter, stopped and exclaimed when he saw how Evan was walking with lifeless face and aura of depression was overflowing from him. Evan didn't even glance at the receptionist and silently left the hotel. Failed. His plan of getting skills from F-rank core failed miserably. He didn't get even a single skill even after absorbing more than 100 cores. Evan don't know why, but now he was sure that he can't get skills from F-rank cores. Forget about F-rank cores. Evan had a feeling that even with E-rank core he won't get any skill. Although Evan wasn't sure, he guessed that it is something to do with his Monarch's core rank. Since the rank of his Monarch core is already D rank, he can't get skills from the cores that are below D rank. There are many things he still doesn't know about his Monarch core. Evan now understood that even though there are some details about his Shadow Monarch physique on his status window, it doesn't tell him about everything. No information on his status window tells him that his Monarch core can merge skills. Thinking about the money he lost, Evan felt someone is squeezing his heart. Evan can't help but feel like poverty is his girlfriend that refuses to leave him because of how handsome he becomes. While walking back with a gloomy aura, Evan saw a general store and stopped. Seeing the general store, Evan remembered something and with heavy steps walked towards it. After earning the fortune, Evan thought that he will not eat the cup noodles for a long time. But remembering his current bank balance, Evan knew he can only rely on cup noodles once again. Seeing Evan coming towards his store, the store owner was scared less and wanted to run away, but he sighed in relief when he found out that Evan just came there to buy cup noodles. Seeing the aura of depression and poverty around Evan, the store owner felt a little bad for Evan and wondered what happened to him. After buying the cup noodles, Evan once again started to walk towards the academy and promised to himself that next time he will surely break up with his all-time girlfriend Poverty. Evan came back to the academy and proceeded to walk toward his room. How much you are going to bet? While walking towards his room, Evan heard some students talking among themselves. I am going to bet 10,000 credits on Mike. Why are you betting on Mike? I heard that trash. Evan became quite powerful recently and he even threatened Rhea during the class. It's just a rumor that some people created in order to hype things. Do you really think that trash who was at F rank last week can beat Mike? The student said while shaking his head. At first, Evan was confused as to what they were talking about, but then he remembered he challenged Mike to a match next Friday. When Evan remembered this, his dim eyes suddenly lit up. And he remembered when students fight among themselves they can bet on who will win and can win credits. Evan already knew that he is going to win, so he can easily bet all of his money on himself and can earn a big reward. But just as Evan remembered this, his heart once again ached when he thought he'd just have 3,000 credits in his bank account. Even if he bet all of those credits, he will not earn much. Looks like I will have to borrow money from someone. Evan started to think from whom he can borrow money to bet on himself, and when he thought about it his mouth started to twitch. No one, Evan said in his mind. There was no one from whom Evan can borrow money. After all, during these 2 years he never talked to anyone, so he naturally doesn't have any friends. Should I ask James? Evan thought about James since he recently completed a mission with him. He thought he can ask for some money from him. But Evan dismissed that thought after thinking about it for some time. Although he completed a mission with James, they didn't talk much during the mission, and it will be awkward for him to ask for money. Forget about it. I will think about this issue later. There is something more important that I need to do before my match against Mike, Evans said as he arrived in his room. After Evans' Prime Core mutated and he advanced to D rank with his Prime Core, Evans' strength increased explosively. Evan himself doesn't know what is his current power level after his recent level up. Evan was afraid that if he fought against Mike without understanding his full strength, he might slap him to death accidentally, so he wanted to know what his current power level is. If it was before, Evan would have gone to a dungeon to test his power, but Professor Elena warned him not to go into dungeons because of the outbreaks. Evan can go into the wilderness, but he knew if he wants to test his full strength he will have to find a C-rank monster. And Evan doesn't want to go too deep into the wildernesses to find a C-rank monster. What if he encounters more than one C-rank monster? He nearly died yesterday while fighting against that C-rank wolf. Although his strength increased quite a bit after his Prime Core mutated and advanced to D rank, he doesn't want to go there before understanding his current power level. Looks like I can only use that thing in this situation, Evan muttered to himself and lay down on his bed. There are many training facilities for students in the Hunter Academy that they can use to train themselves. Although most of the facilities were free, there are some facilities that you can only use by paying mission points. In the past, since Evan never completed a mission, he wasn't able to use those facilities, but now that he just completed a mission recently and has some mission points, Evan was thinking about using one of the facilities that he thinks was perfect for his current situation. Since it was already night time, Evan decided to use that facility tomorrow. When Evan was done thinking, he felt hungry and with a heavy heart took out a box of cup noodles from his storage ring. While the noodles were being cooked, Evan remembered how just yesterday he was thinking about cooking cup noodles using an invisibility potion instead of water. When he drank the invisibility potion some days ago, Evan liked its taste quite bitter, so he was thinking about using it to cook his cup noodles. Why he was thinking something like this? Of course, because he became a first-generation rich orphan after selling all the items that he got from bandits. As a first-generation rich orphan, he wanted to try something expensive and different at the same time. And when Evan thought about something expensive, the first thought that came into his mind was the premium box of cup noodles that he used to eat only once a month. And when he thought what he can do different with it, he thought about using an invisibility potion to cook it instead of water. Although it was strange and at the same time weird, it was an expensive and different idea, so Evan was thinking about trying it. Evan was thinking about trying this expensive idea after returning from the wilderness, but now seeing how he was cooking regular cup noodles using tap water, he felt like an invisible arrow pierced through his heart. One day I will definitely reach the pinnacle of life and will use an inviolability potion to cook my cup noodles, Evan motivated himself as he silently ate his cup noodles. After eating cup noodles, Evan went to sleep since he was tired because of the events that happened to him today. Evan woke up early the morning next day and after eating breakfast made his way towards the training facilities of the academy. It did not take Evan to reach there, and in just 10 minutes he arrived at his destination. Evan came to the area where the training facilities of the academy were located. In this area, there were many training rooms where you can train your archery, swordsmanship, spear arts, and many other things. Evan ignored these rooms and went deeper into the training facility. After walking for 5 minutes, Evan finally reached his destination. Evan looked around him and saw many closed rooms. Some rooms had green lights shining above them while some had red lights shining above them. Green light means that the room was not being used by anyone and he can enter in it, while red light means that someone is currently using that room. Evan came before a room that had green light shining above it and took out his hunter card. Evan placed his card on the door and a holographic screen appeared before him showing his current mission points. Evan had 20 mission points that he earned after completing the mission recently. Evan saw in order to use the room for 24 hours he has to pay 5 points, but he didn't care much about it and paid it without hesitation. Just as Evan paid the 5 points, the door of the room opened and he entered in it. After entering in room, Evan closed it and the green light above the room turned red outside. There was only one thing inside the room, and when Evan saw this his lips curled upwards. "Finally, I can use it again," Evan muttered in an emotional tone and wiped out the invisible tears from his eyes. In front of Evan was a silver-color VR pod that he is going to use for his training. As a nerd gamer in his past life, Evan always used to play different kinds of games, but since the moment he was transmigrated into a real world, Evan didn't get a chance to play any games. The VR pod in front of him is actually connected to the Hunter Network, where hunters from all over the world can fight against each other. Evan is going to use this VR pod to fight against a C-rank hunter so he can understand what is his current level of power. After Evan was done being emotional, he put on VR headset and lay down inside the pod. After Evan lay down, the VR pod closed automatically and he felt his eyes' retinas were being scanned. Swish! Just as Evan was thinking, his visions turned dark and he found himself standing in a dark place. Evan wasn't surprised by this since he played many VR games in his past life and he knew that he first has to create his avatar and enter his username. While creating your avatar for VR, you can't change your appearance much. You can modify your hair color and some minor things, but you can't change anything major. Evan didn't change his appearance, but he wore a black skull mask in order to hide his face since he doesn't want to show his face to anyone. The clothes he chose were also black in color, and in just 10 seconds he created his avatar that was standing wearing all black clothes with a black skull mask that was hiding his face. When Evan saw his appearance, he nodded his head in satisfaction and pressed confirm. "Please enter your username." "Username, huh?" Evan mumbled and rubbed his chin. After a minute, Evan entered his username and pressed OK. Just as Evan pressed OK, the dark room in front of him started to crumble and a colorful screen appeared before him. Evan looked at the screen in front of him and saw two options there: random match and play with a friend. Evan chose random match and another screen appeared before him. Please select the difficulty: F rank, E rank, D rank, C rank, B rank. There were 5 difficulties and Evan chose C rank since he wanted to fight someone who has the power of C rank hunter, C rank or C plus rank. Since there are 2 ranks in each stage, another screen appeared before Evan and he chose C rank. Please wait, you are being matched. It didn't take long for Evan to get matched with an opponent. You're entering in sparring arena. Good luck, Shadow Monarch. Evan saw the notification, his vision blurred once again, and the next second he found himself standing in the middle of a big square-shaped arena. Before Evan can look around, a white light flashed and a young man appeared in front of him. The man had light brown hair, black eyes, and a handsome face over his shoulders. And unlike Evan, who was clad in black clothes, the young man was wearing golden armor and looks like a holy warrior. What caught Evan's attention was the name and the number floating above the head of the man: David, 58 wins, 3 losses. Evan read the name and the winning record of the man in front of him and was stunned. 58 wins and just 3 losses. He must be quite strong even among C-rank hunters, Evan thought to himself, and instead of feeling nervous, he was feeling more excited since he will be able to test his current power level accurately against him. In this match, Evan does not want to use any of his skills. He first wanted to test his physical strength because he can feel after the mutation of his prime core the thing that improved the most is his physical strength. Even when he fought against the C-rank wolf in the wilderness, his physical strength was higher than that wolf, and now he himself doesn't know what is the current level of his physical strength. Just like how Evan saw the name and the winning record of David, David also saw Evan's name and record: Shadow Monarch, 0 wins, 0 loss. When David read this, the first thought that came into his mind was, "This dude sure knows how to choose a cool name." And the second thought that came into his mind was, he is a noob. Because of Evan's record, David can guess that it is the first time Evan was using the VR. That's why he thought Evan is a noob. "Hello," David said to Evan after he was done looking at him. Evan raised an eyebrow, wondering what this holy knight wants from him, but he nodded his head nonetheless. "Actually, some of my friends want to see my match, but they can't see it unless both parties who are sparring allow other people to watch their match. Can you allow other people to watch the match so they can watch it?" When David saw Evan nodding his head, he quickly said to him, Evan had no problem with that, so he nodded his head and changed his settings to allow other people to spect his match. Just as Evan changed his settings, white lights flashed one after another in the specters area and people started to appear. Evan watched with dazed expressions as more than 50 people appeared in less than 5 seconds. Although Evan wasn't able to hear their voice since he didn't turn on the sound function, he can still see that all of them were cheering enthusiastically. Is this guy a celebrity or something? Evan looked at David in front of him, who was waving his hand at the audience. When Evan saw David waving his hands, he also understood that they were not his friends but fans. Thanks, David said to Evan after he was done waving at people. I am David from Clear Sky Academy. Let's have a good match. Clear Sky Academy. Evan was stunned for a moment after hearing David. Clear Sky Academy is also an academy just like Astrate Academy, and last year in the All Hunter Academy tournament they came into second place. Professor Elena just told him about the tournament a few days ago, and now he is facing someone who may also participate in the tournament 4 months later. Looking at David's winning record, Evan can guess that he is quite strong and there is a high chance that he will be one of the representatives of the Clear Sky Academy in the tournament this year. It's better this way since I can confirm my power level against the people who will participate in the tournament this year, Evan thought, and looked at David, who already took his fighting stance. Evan never fought against a human who reached at C rank and unlocked his job class, so he wasn't sure how strong David is. But Evan had confidence that even without his job class he will be able to give a good fight to David just by using his physical strength. I bet David will win in less than 5 minutes, a boy who was watching the match said. You are underestimating David. He is the second strongest student in the Clear Sky Academy. I bet he will win in less than a minute, a girl who was sitting beside the boy said. Yes, he will defeat that ugly black skeleton in less than a minute, another girl said after hearing them. Look, they are finally starting, someone yelled, and everyone looked at them. Are you ready? David asked Evan after taking his fighting stance. Evan took a deep breath and said, let's begin. When both parties were ready, a countdown appeared before them. 3, 2, 1, begin. Boom. Just as the countdown ended, a booming sound echoed out as the ground beneath Evan's feet shattered and he charged toward David like a bullet. David wasn't even able to see clearly as Evan, who was 20 meters away from him just a moment ago, appeared before him in just 1 second. After coming before David, Evan clenched his fist and punched David using his full strength. The air in front of David exploded because of the sheer force of the fist, and he felt like a raging bull is coming toward him. When David saw how fast Evan was, he knew he won't be able to dodge the punch, so he crossed his hands in front of him as a form of protection. And just before Evan's punch hit him, David's eyes shined in light brownish color and his arms were covered in thick earth armor. Boom! Evan's punch hit the hands of David and he slid backward for more than 10 meters because of the impact. A painful expression appeared on David's face and he felt his hands started to shake. Although Evan was surprised by his own agility and David's hands that were protected by earth armor, he didn't stop his attack and followed David. What kind of physical strength is this? David was shocked because he was still feeling the pain even after covering his hands in earth armor. But David did not think too much about it because he saw Evan once again coming towards him. Evan was very fast just like last time, but this time David was prepared. Just when Evan appeared in front of him once again, the ground around David sank a little as David used his earth skill. Because of the sudden change in terrain, Evan lost his balance for a moment and David didn't miss that chance. Earth bomb, David muttered, and all harass on Evan's body stood up to no end. Feeling the danger, Evan pressed his feet on the ground and propelled himself upwards. Boom! Just as Evan jumped upwards, a loud explosion happened at the place where Evan was standing just a moment ago and the earth debris flew everywhere. Although Evan jumped up at the last moment avoiding the explosion, he was still thrown away by the shock waves. Evan landed 10 meters away from the place where the explosion happened and saw a 3 meters tall earth wall at the place where David was standing. He protected himself from explosion using earth wall, Evan thought, and was impressed by how fast David was able to use his skills. His job class must be something that is related to earth element. Just as Evan was looking at the earth wall, it started to crumble and David, who was now covered in earth armor from head to toe, appeared before him. Evan looked at David, who was now covered in earth armor from head to toe, and just from a single glance, Evan can see that the earth armor is quite tough. What is this now? Golem transformation? Evan thought jokingly and wasn't worried about the armor David was wearing. After all, it is not like that crude-looking earth armor is indestructible. As long as that earth armor can be destroyed, I am going to turn it into bits, Evan said, and cracked his neck. The next second a faint blue layer of mana appeared all around his body. David, who saw the faint blue layer of mana around Evan, was stunned and looked at him with a shocked expression. The thing Evan just used is called mana reinforcement and is a normal technique that anyone who has mana can use to strengthen their body. In past, Evan only used his mana to strengthen his attacks while using his sword. He never used mana reinforcement to strengthen his body. The reason for it was quite simple. If you use mana reinforcement to strengthen your body, you won't be able to use any of your skills. Either you use your skills or you strengthen your body using mana. You can't use both of the things at the same time, although you can still use your skill if instead of strengthening your body you are reinforcing weapons. Evan doesn't know the exact reason for this, nor does he care. After all, he is not a researcher. But in past, he never used mana reinforcement to strengthen his body because he always fought using his skills and didn't care about strengthening his body. Now that Evan wanted to use only his physical strength in this fight, and doesn't want to use his skill, he decided to use mana reinforcement to know the true limit of his physical strength. David, on the other hand, was shocked because earlier he thought that Evan must be using a skill to improve his physical strength this much. David was sure that the agility and strength Evan showed earlier was way too much for a C-rank hunter, and the body of a C-rank hunter can't be that strong. But now David is seeing Evan using mana reinforcement. Doesn't that mean Evan was not using any skill earlier and that was his pure physical strength? But how is this possible? There is no way the body of C-rank hunter can have this kind of strength, David thought, and looked at his arms, which were still aching because of the earlier attack of Evan. How can that skeleton use mana reinforcement? Isn't he using a skill to improve his physical strength? The girl who said David will beat Evan in less than a minute asked with a dissatisfied expression on her face, "Is that guy hacking?" The girl who supported her earlier said with a doubtful tone, "I think that guy is not a C-rank hunter, maybe a high-level hunter chose C-rank difficulty to bully the weak hunters." Although there are very few people who will waste their time doing things like this, it is not like something like this has not happened before, the boy sitting beside them said with a thoughtful expression. Hearing what the boy said, an understanding look appeared on the girls' faces. "You are right, that bastard must be a high-level hunter, that is why his physical strength is too high," the girl said furiously and started to curse Evan. Other people who were watching also thought the same thing and cursed the black skeleton for being so shameless. Who knows what kind of reaction they will give if they knew Evan is just a D-rank hunter. David also thought the same thing like others and was very dissatisfied. Earlier he thought he will give a good show to his fans. He will beat Evan in an overwhelming manner and his fans will cheer for him. They will praise him to no end and he will try to act humble, saying it was not much. After beating Evan in an overwhelming manner while his fans were cheering for him, he will look at this black skeleton and will say, "Don't be sad. As a hunter you should thrive to become the best. Don't let this single defeat discourage you. Try to become someone who is not even afraid of heaven. When I became the hunter in the past, I promised myself that I will not stop until I become the best hunter. If heaven tries to stop me from becoming the best hunter, I will exterminate the heavens. So don't be down just because of a single loss. You can still become the second strongest hunter in this world. After all, the first place is already reserved for me." When the black skeleton will hear this, he will also become his fan and will cheer for him with his other fans. After saying all those things, he will log out and disappear from the arena while his fans were cheering for him. He will come out from the VR pod, will take a good bath, enjoy a good meal, go to bed with a beautiful girl. End of the celebrity complex quota for the day. The next day he will wake up and will do the same thing with a different hunter. Everything was perfect. Then why? How can the person he thought is a noob turn into a final level boss? He is just a small C-rank hunter with a celebrity complex. Why bully him? He was really dissatisfied and wanted to protest, but suddenly Evan, who was standing 10 meters away from him, appeared before his face like a ghost. David's heart sank when he realized this time he wasn't even able to see how Evan moved. After using mana reinforcement, Evan's agility was even greater than before. David felt like a mountain-crushing force coming towards him when Evan once again threw a punch after coming in front of him. Feeling the power behind the punch, David gritted his teeth and threw his own punch. Boom! A loud explosion happened when both of their fists clashed as the shockwaves swept all over the arena. The ground around them broke apart and spiderweb-like cracks appeared all over it. Amid the explosion, a painful cry rang out as a body that was covered in crude earth armor flew backward like a broken kite. Boo! David's body crashed 20 meters away, creating a 3 meters wide and 1 meter deep crater. Evan didn't stop his assault and appeared before the crater. Just as Evan appeared before the crater, he felt the ground around him tremble a bit. When Evan felt the trembling of the ground, he once again disappeared from his place. Just as Evan disappeared, tens of earth spikes emerged from the ground where he was standing a moment ago. Evan, who disappeared a moment ago, appeared on the other end of the crater. After using mana reinforcement, his agility was too high. When Evan arrived on the other end of the crater and saw how David's earth armor was still fine, a cruel smile appeared on his face that was hidden by the black skeleton mask. Suddenly David, who was trying to stand up, felt a chill run down his spine as an act that was loved by few men and despised by many women who were present in the arena took place. Seeing David's crude earth armor was still fine, Ethan grinned and gave a kick right at David's face, who was trying to stand up. Because of the kick, David once again dropped to the ground facing the blue sky. Let's see how hard your earth armor is. David, who was still dazed because of the earlier kick, heard Evan's voice, and the next second, boom, a mountain-crushing punch landed right at his face, which was also covered in the earth armor. A painful scream escaped from David's mouth as he felt his mind buzz because of the impact, but Evan was surprised when he saw the earth armor was still fine and only cracked a little. You are quite durable, you know, Evan said to David, and a light blue aura erupted from his body. Suddenly the faint blue layer of mana around him turned dark blue as he used more mana to strengthen his body. But it doesn't matter today, I am going to turn your earth armor into bits, Evan said, and once again punched at the face of David. Boom! An explosion that was louder than before happened and the armor around David's face almost broke apart. Although the armor didn't break, the impact of the punch still caused David to feel like someone put up a stone on his face and was hammering it. You bastard, don't attack on his face. Can you take responsibility if his handsome face gets ruined because of your punches? A girl shouted with a furious expression on her face. She was looking at Evan like he was murdering her parents right before her eyes. She was not the only one. Many girls who were die-hard fans of David were doing the same thing. Do you really need to be this furious? It is not like his face will be ruined in real life. The boy who said Evan may be a higher-rank hunter said to the girl who was trying to jump inside the arena. You bastard, don't attack on his face. The girl ignored the boy and bared her teeth and tried to go into the arena. But how can she enter into the arena when it is not even real? Seriously, why is she acting like this? The boy thought, and for some reason felt happy that Evan was punching the face of David. He was also a fan of David, but he is still a man. He also felt jealous when he sees a man who is way more handsome than him. The boy was not the only one who thought like this. Many men thought the same thing. So a strange scene where many women were cursing the 7 generations of the black skeleton, and a few men were grinning secretly took place in the audience area. Boom! Another explosive sound rang out as Evan once again punched David right in the face, and this time his earth armor finally broke apart. When the earth armor around David's face broke apart, Evan saw David's body was turning illusionary slowly. Even though David's armor just broke apart, he already started to lose consciousness because of the severe pain that was transmitted to his brain because of the high VR technology. All this time when Evan punched David, David felt like he was wearing a bulletproof vest that protected him from the bullet, but because of the impact of the bullet his internal organs are in complete disarray. When Evan saw David's body was turning illusionary, he knew he already won. But since he finally broke the armor, he did not want to let David go like this. So while David's body was truing illusory, Evan once again lifted his hand once again. Motherfucker, I am already ascending to heaven. Can't you let me go in peace? David, whose vision already turned blurry, saw Evan lifting his hand once again, and he can't help but curse him in his mind. David wanted to curse Evan loudly, but he knew his fans are here, and as a perfect celebrity he can't curse out loud. Boo! A booming sound echoed out as David's teeth and the hearts of many girls who were present in the arena shattered. From a handsome-looking holy knight to teethless monkey with a broken nose and shattered jaw, the transformation was so fast and unreal that if people look at the current appearance of David, they won't be able to recognize him. With that last punch, David's body finally disappeared from the sparring arena and a new message appeared before Evan's eyes. You have successfully defeated your opponent. Congratulations on winning your first match. Evan happily nodded his head seeing the message. He was very satisfied with his current strength. Even though he didn't use any skill, he still defeated David without any problems. After fighting against David, Evan guessed his current physical strength should be around C+ level. Evan himself felt this is completely absurd for him to have the physical strength of a C+ level when he is just D rank hunter. The gap between a C rank hunter and a D rank hunter is very big. After all, you get a job class after reaching at C rank, and all your abilities improved greatly because of this. And here Evan, who is just a D rank hunter, can beat C rank hunters with just his physical strength. After Evan gauged his strength, he looked at David's fans in the audience stand and was startled when he saw what was happening. Evan felt goosebumps all over his body when he saw tens of females glaring at him like they were out for blood. Evan also noticed some of the male guys who were looking at him with admiration and secretly showing him thumbs up. What the hell is going on here? Evan was dumbfounded and didn't understand why these females were looking at him like this. Although he can understand they are upset since he defeated David, he still felt it is wrong for them to look at him like this. Evan can see they were shouting something, but since his sound function was off, he wasn't able to hear them. Although Evan can't hear them from their expressions, he can understand they all are cursing him. Even though they were cursing him, Evan still lifted his hands and waved at them. When people saw Evan waving at them, they were lost for words. They wanted to curse the seamlessness of the skeleton, but remembered they were already cursing him for the past 5 minutes. Evan did not care why they were cursing him, and after waving at them disappeared from the arena. A woman shouted in a furious voice and slashed with her sword at the person who was standing in front of her. The person was clad in completely black clothes and was wearing a black skeleton mask. Too slow, the woman heard the demonic voice of the black skeleton. In the next second, the sword she was slashing was snatched away by her. Even before she can react, she felt her head spinning and a headless body fell to the ground and disappeared from the sparring arena. You have successfully defeated your opponent. Congratulations on winning 20 matches in a row. A light flashed as a new number appeared above Evan's head. Shadow Monarch, 20 wins, 0 losses. After seeing the number, Evan nodded his head and his body also started to turn illusionary as he also disappeared from the sparring arena. The VR pod opened and Evan came out from it. After coming out, Evan stretched his body a little since he was feeling stiff after laying in the same position for around 6 hours. After defeating David, Evan fought against many others people and confirmed that he can fight against C-rank hunters without much difficulty. After fighting, Evan also found out he definitely needs a defensive type skill. During the fight, he encountered some opponents who were able to use a area of effect skills that can cover a large area. Even though with his agility Evan was able to dodge their attacks, he still find it hard to counterattack against those people. His Shadow Walk skill is good for escaping, but it doesn't give him any defensive power. While using this skill he will turn into shadow form, but he will still receive damage from skills. I hope I will get a good defensive skill when I will absorb more cores in the future, Evan muttered and left the VR room. Evan used 5 mission points earlier to use the VR room for 24 hours, but since he just used it for around 6 hours, he will be able to use the VR room for 18 hours in the future without paying. Evan walked out from the training facility and went towards his room. While going back he thought about what should he do next. I can't go to the dungeon because of the outbreaks. I guess I will just look for another mission that can allow me to get some cores. I will do another mission after dealing with Mike. Evan decided to go for another mission after his match against Mike. Although it is a waste of time, Evan didn't mind it because he already thought about earning money by betting on himself. While going back, Evan heard the conversation of some free students, who were talking about his match against Mike. Hearing them, Evan just shook his head. With his current strength, Evan can defeat Mike with just a single attack. I wonder how much money I will be able to make with this match. Soon Evan reached his room. After coming back to his room, Evan cooked his signature cup noodles to fill his stomach. In order to make the cup noodles a little different from his last night's dinner, Evan added extra salt into the cup noodles while they were being cooked. After 3 minutes the cup noodles were ready. Evan tasted the cup noodles and nodded his head in satisfaction. The cup noodles were definitely different from the noodles he cooked last night. The cup noodles he is currently eating contain 0.0001 grams of extra iodine when compared to the noodles he ate last night. The taste of both of the cup noodles was completely different. It was so different that Evan wasn't even able to tell what was the difference. I will add a spoon of red chili powder in the cup noodles for dinner. Evan soon finished his cup noodles and patted his stomach, which still looks the same. After eating, Evan thought about what he should do, and find out he doesn't have anything to do. He was free after a long period of time. Evan thought about absorbing the 2 cores that he got from the Black Ogres, but after thinking about it for some time he decided against it. Evan felt like he used most of his luck when his prime core was mutated, and he got a skill from the C-rank core that later merged with the Shadow Bullet skill and turned into a new skill. Evan really wanted to get the skills of the Black Ogre, Devourer and Regeneration. Both of its skills are quite useful for him. He at least wanted to get one of the skills of the Black Ogre, so he decided to use it later. Guess I will just rest then, Evan muttered and threw himself on the bed. Evan felt quite relaxed and closed his eyes. It's been 2 years since he was transmigrated into this world, and during these 2 years, he never gets free time to relax like this. Most of his time was spent in earning money, so he felt very relaxed when he lay down, and eventually, fall asleep. The day ended just like this, and when Evan woke up when it was already nighttime, Evan cooked his pre-decided menu of special 1-spoon red chili cup noodles. This batch of cup noodles contains 0.001 gram extra capsaicin than the cup noodles he cooked in the afternoon. The next day Evan went to the theory class of Professor Elena. The class was pretty boring for Evan since he already knew most of the things that Elena was teaching. After the class ended, Evan once again decided to go into the VR room. But just as Evan left the classroom, someone called him. When Evan turned around, he saw Valerie, who was coming towards him. What does she want from me? Evan wondered when he saw Valerie coming toward him. I want to talk to you about something. Are you free now? So, what do you want to talk to me about? Evan asked the light blue hair beauty who was sitting in front of him with a serious expression. After Evan agreed to talk to Valerie, they came into the cafe not far away from the academy so they can talk without any problem. Valerie looked at Evan, who was looking at her without any expression on his face. This guy is really antisocial, Valerie thought when she saw Evan's expressionless face. I won't beat around the bush, I need your help, Valerie said, and created a mana barrier around them so that no one will be able to hear them. There is a C+ rank dungeon that I want to conquer and I can't do it alone, so I want you to come with me there, Valerie said in a serious tone. Evan blinked a few times when he heard what Valerie said, then his face turned strange and he looked at Valerie like she has grown a second head. Miss, I think you are asking the wrong person for help. You are already a C+ rank hunter. How can I help you? Evan said and shook his head. You should know I am Evan, the trash of the academy. How can I go to a C+ rank dungeon? Valerie's expression didn't change when she heard what Evan said, and she continued to look at him. 100,000 credits. After a minute Valerie said, I will give you 100,000 credits plus you will be allowed to take all the things you get from the dungeon without paying anything. Normally when someone enters into a dungeon that is above D+ rank, They will have to pay 20% of things that they got inside the dungeon as fees to the controller of the dungeon. Dungeons that are above D+ rank are controlled by large guilds or hunter association, so they take 20% of things that you earn into the dungeon as fees. 100,000 credits plus the things I will get from a C+ rank dungeon. Evan was stunned when he heard Valerie's offer and was really tempted to accept it immediately, but he still didn't agree because this situation is too fishy. You should know I am still not a C rank hunter. Then why do you want to bring me with you? There are many C+ rank hunters who will happily go with you if you gave the same offer to them, Evan said and narrowed his eyes. Then why do you want to bring me with you? Evan was finding this whole situation quite fishy. Although he showed some of his strength in the past few days, he never went overboard with it, so he doesn't understand why a C+ rank hunter like Valerie is asking him for help to conquer a dungeon. Isn't it clear why I want to bring you? Valerie said and rolled her eyes when she saw Evan was looking at her with narrowed eyes like she is some kind of criminal. Evan didn't say anything and continued to look at her with narrowed eyes. Stop looking at me like I am some kind of criminal. I want to bring you with me because I know you are strong. And how do you know I am strong? Evan asked with a raised eyebrow after hearing Valerie. I have a skill that alerts me about the strength of my opponent if the difference between us is not so great, and because of this skill I know you are strong. I don't know why you are hiding your strength, and honestly, I don't care. I just want to clear this C+ rank dungeon since there is something that I need. That's why I need your help. Evan was silent after hearing Valerie. He didn't expect Valerie to possess a skill that can allow her to get an idea about her opponent's strength, but Evan was still not convinced. I understand why you asked me for help, but why not ask other C+ rank hunters for help? Is there a special reason you are asking me for help? Yes. There is a special reason why I am asking for your help. Valerie nodded her head and did not deny him. Oh, what is the reason? My instincts are telling me you are the best candidate to bring there, and guess what? My instincts are never wrong, Valerie said and showed a smug expression on her face. Evan's mouth twitched when he heard Valerie. He thought there will be an important reason why she asked him for help, but he never expected that it was just because of her instincts. All right. My last question. Evan nodded his head and asked his last question. With the money and condition you are offering me, I am sure you can easily hire 2 or 3 C+ rank hunters to go with you there. Then why you are bringing me there? I am sure your chances of clearing the dungeon will be high if you hire more than 1 C+ rank hunter than bringing me with you. Valerie sighed when she heard Evna and said in a dejected tone, that dungeon is special. Only 2 people can enter into it at the same time. That's why I can't do what you are saying. There is restriction on that dungeon? Evan asked in a surprised tone. Yes, that's why only 2 people can enter into it at the same time. Valerie nodded her head and once again asked Evan in a serious tone. So tell me, what is your answer? Evan thought about all the things that Valerie told him and honestly, he did not find any reason to reject her. Along with the money he will also get the things that he will find in the dungeon. More importantly, I will be able to get many C rank cores that will help me. But there was still one thing that was bothering him. By the way, are you sure the dungeon is safe? Professor Elena warned me not to go into dungeons because of the breakouts that are happening recently. Don't worry, that dungeon is completely safe. There won't be any problem. Valerie nodded her head confidently. Evan closed his eyes for a moment and after thinking about everything that Valerie said, he found no reason to reject her offer. He also wants to reach C rank as soon as possible so that he can get his job class, and since it will be a C+ rank dungeon, he will be able to get many cores that will help him. Tell me about the C+ rank dungeon, Evan said after a minute of consideration. Valerie smiled when she heard this and started to tell Evan about the dungeon she wanted to clear. The dungeon Valerie wanted clear was called Frost World and is filled with the ice types of monsters. This dungeon is different from the Shadow Kingdom dungeon Evan entered before. In Shadow Kingdom dungeon there is only 1 floor in the dungeon, and the monsters will get more powerful the deeper you go into the floor. You can fight against the boss monster of the dungeon, after reaching at the end of this floor and clear it after killing the boss monster. But the Frozen World dungeon has 10 floors, and there are 2 boss monsters in this dungeon. The first is on the 5th floor and the second is on the 10th floor. Of course, the boss monster of the 10th floor will be more powerful than the monster of the 5th floor. According to Valerie, this dungeon is very hard to clear, and since only 2 people can enter at the same time, not many people were able to clear it. Valerie needs a flower called Ice Heart Flower that grows on the 10th floor and will be one of the rewards for clearing the dungeon. That's why she wanted to clear this dungeon. "Alright, I will go with you," Evan said to Valerie after hearing her. "Great, I am sure we will be able to clear that dungeon," Valerie said happily, but then her expression turned sour and she muttered, "It's a pity high-rank hunters can't enter into dungeons that are lower level than them, or I would have hired a B-rank hunter to get that flower for me." Evan just rolled his eyes when he heard Valerie, and didn't comment on it. A hunter can only enter into a dungeon that is similar or of higher rank than him. A hunter can't enter a dungeon that is of lower rank than him. For example, a C-rank hunter can only enter in dungeons that are C-rank or higher. He can't enter in dungeons that are below C-rank, and Evan found it quite fair because the resources of dungeons are not endless. When you clear a dungeon, it will take some time before monsters will once again spawn in it. If higher-rank hunters also enter in the low-rank dungeon, there won't be enough resources for low-rank hunters. "So when are you free to leave?" Valerie asked Evan after he agreed to go with her. "Let's leave after my match against Mike," Evan said, and suddenly he got an idea. He was thinking about from whom he should borrow money to bet on himself, but now that Valerie said she will give him 100,000 credits if he help her clear the dungeon, should I ask for advance payment? Evan thought and looked at Valerie doubtfully. He was wondering whether she will agree or not to give him his advance payment. After all, 100,000 credits are a lot, and what if she thinks he is trying to scam her, and will refuse to go with her after taking her money? "Oh, I completely forgot about your match against Mike. I am sure you will be able to win without any problems," Valerie said, since she can feel Evan is definitely much stronger than a D-rank hunter. There is no chance for Mike, who is a D-rank hunter, to beat Evan. "I am going to bet a huge amount of credits on you. I think I will be able to earn back my 100,000 credits that I will be giving you," Valerie said and grinned. Evan's mouth twitched when he heard Valerie, and for some reason, he felt like he is being scammed. "It's like she is giving me my own money to do her bidding. Is there a problem?" Valerie asked Evan when she saw his expression wasn't looking good. Evan took a deep breath and shook his head. "Nothing, I was just thinking about something." Although Valerie found Evan's expression wasn't right, she didn't ask further. "Since that's all you wanted to talk, I will leave first," Evan said and stood up. "Wait," Valerie stopped Evan, who stood up to left. "Is there anything else?" Evan asked with a raised eyebrow. "Nothing, just tell me your bank account number, I will transfer the money into it." Evan was surprised when he heard her and didn't understand why she is giving him money in advance. "If you are worried about I will refuse to go with you later, you don't have to. I will not back down later," Evan said, and thought Valerie was giving him money because she thought he will refuse to go with her later. Evan has no reason to refuse her. Even if Valerie doesn't give him 100,000 credits, he would have still agreed to go with her. After all, he needs C-rank cores to advance his monarch core to the next rank quickly. "What are you talking about? I am giving you money because I will have to give it to you sooner or later," Valerie said with a confused expression on her face. "And even if you refuse to go with me later, it is not like I can't take back my money from you." When Evan heard her, he just shrugged his shoulders and told her his account details. "I will be leaving first." After telling her his account details, Evan said to her and left the cafe. Ding. While going back, Evan received a message. When he took out his phone and looked at the messages, he smiled because Valerie already sent him 100,000 credits. Evan came back to his room and sat down on the bed. C+ rank dungeon, huh? Evan muttered and thought about the cause of the Black Ogre. "If I can get the Devour skill of the Black Ogre before entering this dungeon, it will help me greatly," Evan muttered and looked at his shadow on the room's floor. "I didn't sell the body of that C-rank wolf because I was thinking about using Devour skill on it if I get that skill by chance. But what if I get the skill before entering the dungeon? I am sure with that skill I will be able to reach C-rank much faster." Evan really needs the skill of Black Ogre because he still remember when he absorbed the C-rank core of the wolf with the help of his monarch core, he didn't feel any improvement in it. Although there was only 3/4 energy left in that C-rank core, it was still a very low improvement in his monarch core. If Evan guessed it right and he just used C-rank cores to improve his monarch core, he will need more than 100 C-rank cores in order to improve his monarch core to C rank. If a normal hunter wants to improve his prime core rank from D to C, and he uses C rank cores, he will need around 50 C rank cores and he will be able to improve his core rank from D to C. But here Evan needs more than double the amount of the cores just to improve his monarch core. This doesn't include his prime core that also mutated recently, and if Evan is right, because of the mutation, his prime core will also need more cores to improve its rank compared to the prime core of the other hunters. Because of the mutation, his prime core gives him excellent physical strength, which is very high when compared to the prime core of the other hunters. Just thinking about the cores he needs, Evan felt a massive headache. You have to understand that Evan's monarch core is currently only at D rank and it needs more than 100 C rank cores in order to improve its rank. Then what about the future when it will reach at C rank and B rank? How will he get that many higher rank cores? Monsters are not unlimited in the Aurora world. Even if he decided to rely on the dungeons, he will not be able to get that many cores. After all, he will not receive cores from every monster he will kill. But what if he gets a skill that will allow him to improve his core rank by devouring the corpses of the monsters? Other people can't get this skill, but Evan, who can get the skills of monsters by absorbing their core, is different. Looks like I will have to search for more Black Ogre in the future, Evan muttered to himself, because he knew the chances of him getting the skill of Black Ogre just by absorbing the 2 cores is close to 0. That's why he decided to look for more Black Ogres in the future. I will absorb both of these cores before entering the dungeon. Who knows, I might really luck out and get the skill of Black Ogre. Evan knew that if he doesn't get the Devour skill, he will have to kill thousands of C-rank monsters in order to gather Nazakari cores for the improvement of his monarch core, and it will definitely take a very long time. To Evan, who wanted to reach C rank as soon as possible in order to get his job class, this is a big no. Although the devouring skill won't improve his power, it will still give him an excellent boost in terms of growth. 2 days later, Mike, are you prepared for your match against him tomorrow? Lucas asked Mike, who was drinking alcohol non-stop. What is there to prepare? I will just go there and show him his place, Mike said in a hate-filled voice and gulped down alcohol from the glass. Lucas sighed when he heard Mike and said, we all know he changed recently. I don't know what happened with him, but you also know even you are not his match. Bam! Mike smashed the glass of alcohol on the table and looked at Lucas threateningly. Are you saying I can't even beat a trash who is afraid of entering dungeons? Look, Mike, I know what I said might be hurtful, but you also saw what happened to Rio in the class, Lucas said and stood up. I am saying because of your own good. I don't know if you understand it or not, but if you think he is still the same trash that we used to play with, you will regret it later, Lucas said one final time and left Mike alone. That bastard! Mike gritted his teeth and drank the remaining alcohol. He also knew what Lucas said was right. After all, he is not blind and saw with his own eyes what happened to Rio. Not only that, with just a single slap Evan finished Lucas, who is not much weaker than him. Mike took a deep breath to calm down and a cold glint passed through his eyes. It doesn't matter how he became this strong, with the help of that thing I will be able to defeat him. So what, he is stronger than me? I will just use other things to make up for my weakness, Mike said, and a cold smile appeared on his face. I wanted to save more money and buy something even better than that thing, but just because of that trash I had to change my plan. I will make sure he will regret ruining my plans. Mike lifted the bottle of alcohol and took a large sip from it. I can't wait to crush him tomorrow in front of everyone. The day of the match finally arrived and most of the students were talking about this match, since many people were surprised that Evan, who got the title of the weakest hunter of the academy, is going to fight against Mike. Have you made any bet yet? There are a lot of people who are betting in this match. Yes, I have betted on Mike. Me too. How much are you betting? 2,500 credits. What about you? 1,000 on Evan and 5,000 on Mike. You betted on both of them? Well, the chances of Evan's winning are not very high, but what if the rumors about him are true and he won the match? That's why I betted 1,000 credits on him. Rumors are just rumors. You are wasting your money by betting it on that trash. The academy has its own betting system where students can bet on the matches. When Evan arrived at the betting station and saw the odds of the match, his mouth can't help but twitch. The odds for betting on Evan were 1 to 5, while for Mike it was just 1.3. This means if someone bets 1,000 credits on Evan, and Evan won the match, that person will win 5 times of the betting amount, which is 5,000 credits. On the other hand, the odds for Mike were very low because most of the people were thinking Mike will win the match easily. They are underestimating me too much, Evan thought, and his lips curled upwards. But it is not like I am complaining. The more they underestimate him, the more money he is going to earn, so he wasn't upset about what people were thinking. Evan went to the counter and betted the entire balance of his bank account. After receiving 100,000 credits from Valerie, Evan had 102,048 credits. Evan betted all his credits. Even the receptionist who was accepting the bets looked at Evan with a dazed look. Obviously, he recognized Evan, and seeing how much Evan was betting on himself, he wondered if he should also place a bet on Evan. After placing the bet, Evan walked away from the betting counter and made his way toward the sparring arena where the students of the academy spar with each other. Hey, Evan, I betted 5 credits on you. Don't let me down, you rich tycoon. You betted 5 credits. I am very poor. I was just able to bet 1 credit on Evan. While Evan was going towards the arena, some students said to him while laughing. Evan just gave them a sidelong glance and did not bother himself with them. Good luck for your match. Beat that talk. There were still some students who betted on Evan and cheered for him. Soon Evan arrived at the sparring arena, which was actually a large stadium that looks like a football stadium. The only difference was that instead of grass, the field of the stadium was made from the concrete. No matter how many times I see this arena, it is definitely unnecessarily big, Evan thought when he saw the size of the arena, which was around 5 football stadiums combined. When Evan entered the arena, he was stunned for a moment and looked at the audience stand with a dazed look. Although he knew many students will come to see his match because of his popularity, in a negative way, he never expected to see this many people. Even though the stadium was far from full, Evan can see there were definitely more than 1,000 students. Well, it's not like it is going to change anything even if there are 100,000 students watching. Evan soon came out from his shock and proceeded forward and entered the arena field. When students saw Evan entering in arena field, some started to cheer for him while many started to mock him just like usual. Don't lose, I betted 5,000 credits on you. If you lose, I will also challenge you and will beat you down. I hope your face will be ruined. I love you, Evan. Let's go on a date, you gigolo. I hope you lose your third leg during the fight. Some spiteful males sent vicious curses as a present for Evan that he completely ignored. I think someone asked me for a date. People usually only hear things that they want to hear. Evan was the same, so the only thing that he heard during the gift-sending session was the cheers of females. Wait, I think I forget something. Suddenly Evan felt he forget something important but can't seem to remember what it was. Evan arrived at the center of the arena field and stopped. Just as Evan stopped, he finally remembered what he forgot. I just asked Mike to fight me on Friday. I never told him specified time. What if that guy came after dinner while I stood here like an idiot? Evan wasn't feeling good now and was thinking about going back. But just as Evan thought about going back, he heard the cheers of the crowd once again and looked in front of him. From the other end of the arena, a bulky male was coming towards him with a cold expression on his face. Well, look like I don't need to go back. Evan smiled when he saw Mike coming towards him. But when Evan saw what Mike was wearing, he raised an eyebrow and his expression turned weird. The people who came to watch the match also looked at Mike with shocked-filled expressions. Holy shit, what the hell is that thing? An E+ rank hunter shouted when he saw what Mike was wearing. Why is he wearing that thing? Do he really need to go that far? It's not like he is fighting a big boss. He doesn't need to bully the gigolo like this, a D+ rank hunter said, but the next second he burst into laughter. It's good I betted my money on Mike instead of that gigolo with that thing. There is no way he will be able to defeat Mike. Mike stopped 10 meters away from Evan and looked at him with eyes filled with coldness. On the other hand, Evan looked at Mike with a weird face. To be precise, he was looking at the thing that Mike was wearing. Mike was wearing a crimson colorful leather armor that covered his body completely, leaving only his face unprotected. Just looking at the armor, Evan can feel that the armor was not normal and its defense value is quite high. I think it is a C-rank armor, Evan thought, and looked at Mike's cold eyes. Seeing how Mike was looking at him coldly but at the same time confident-filled face, Evan can't help but give him a weird look. Does this guy is thinking I won't be able to harm him because he is wearing a C-rank armor? Evan wanted to laugh seeing that C-rank armor. After all, from his fight in the VR, Evan knew his power is close to C+ rank hunter. Even if Mike is wearing a C-rank armor, he has 100% confidence that he will be able to beat the hell out of him without any issue. While Evan didn't bother himself with the armor that Mike was wearing, the people who came to watch the match were stunned. But soon many people started to cheer out loud while a minority of people started to curse. Ha ha ha, I already knew Mike will be the one who will win the match. I betted my entire fortune on him. A student laughed out loud and said in a joyful tone. At first, he was a little nervous because he betted all his money on Mike, and after hearing rumors that Evan became very strong, he started to doubt whether he betted on the right person or not. But now that he saw what Mike was wearing, he felt happy that he betted all his money on Mike. According to him, there is no way Evan's power reach at C rank, and since he is not C rank, there is no way he will be able to harm Mike, much less defeat him. He was not the only one who was thinking like this. Most of the people previously thought that Evan is probably around D rank, that's why he challenged Mike. But now that they saw Mike wearing a C rank armor, they have no hope for Evan. It's good I just betted 1,000 credits on Evan. That Mike is so shameless to use that kind of thing. Can't he fight fairly? What is wrong with fighting while wearing armor? Since he is wearing armor, it means those two didn't make any rule before the match that prohibited the use of armor. He is right. If you want to blame someone, blame that idiot who came to fight while wearing casual clothes like he is out for a stroll. You didn't expect something like this, right? Mike smirked when he heard what the people were saying and asked Evan. Evan nodded his head when he heard Mike. He never expected that Mike will come here to fight him while wearing a C-rank armor. This armor must have cost him a few 100,000 credits. Evan's mouth twitched when he saw the confident look of Mike because of the armor. Evan can't help but wonder what kind of expression Mike will make when he will realize his armor is just a piece of paper in front of him. When Mike saw the twitching face of Evan, he thought Evan was afraid of him, so he grinned and thought about giving him another surprise. Mike released his aura and people were once again surprised because Mike's aura was that of a D+ rank hunter. Evan also showed surprised expressions when he saw Mike become a D+ rank hunter. Don't tell me he used his money to buy cores in order to advance D+ rank, Evan thought, and now he really wanted to laugh. First, the armor, and now cause. Evan doesn't know just how much money Mike must have used on these things, but one thing was clear to Evan. This guy will also live on cup noodles from now on. Even though Mike reached D+ rank, it changed nothing for Evan, since as long as Mike is not a C+ rank hunter, Evan had full confidence in beating him. Are you regretting now? Mike asked Evan after he released his D+ rank aura. Evan nodded his head when he heard Mike. He was indeed regretting that he wasn't able to bet 1 million credits because of the lack of money. It's too late to regret now. Seeing Evan nodding his head, Mike sneered and said in a cocky tone, "Sigh, after I saw how Evan almost crushed Rio in the class, I betted my money on him. Looks like I will have to live on cup noodles for a while now." A student who was in the class when Evan threatened Rio said in a bitter tone, "Don't worry brother, you are not the only one who will be living on cup noodles. I am with you." The guy who was sitting beside him patted his shoulder and said in an encouraging voice, while the people who betted on Evan were despairing, and people who betted on Mike were cheering. A man who looks in his mid-30s entered the sparring arena. Who could it be? None other than the referee. The referee was a B-rank hunter. Since there is a high chance someone may die during spar, the referee for the sparring match in the arena is always a high-rank hunter so that no one will die during the sparring. Seeing the referee appearing, Mike showed a cold smile. He spent all of his money to buy this C rank armor and cause. He was actually saving money to buy a C+ rank armor so that he can enter in high-level dungeons, but because of Evan's challenge, he had to buy this C rank armor and cause. Since he still doesn't had enough money to buy a C+ rank armor, since my plan of buying C+ rank armor is ruined by him, I will make sure he will pay for it, Mike thought, and his cold smile became even wider. What are you doing here, Valerie? A male student asked in a surprised voice when he saw Valerie. Valerie gave the male student a sidelong glance and said, "We are inside the sparring arena, Leon, and a match is about to start. What do you think I am doing here?" Leon was stunned for about a moment, but then he smiled awkwardly and said, "So you are also here to watch the match? I didn't think I will see you here." Leon was 185 centimeters tall. He has black hair and black eyes, and with his perfect body build he looks quite dashing, just like Valerie. The aura around him was also that of a C+ rank evolver. "By the way, what do you think about my earlier offer? You just have to share 1/4 portion of the ice heart flower and I can help you clear that dungeon." Leon sat beside Valerie and asked, "Sorry Leon, I can't accept your offer. I need a fully intact ice heart flower," Valerie said and shook her head. "So forget about it." "Are you sure?" Leon asked with a frown on his face. "It will be very difficult for you to find another C+ rank hunter who is as capable as me." "Don't worry, I know what I am doing. Thanks for your concern." Hearing Valerie, Leon was about to say something, but in the end, he closed his mouth and just nodded his head. "Let me tell you the rules," the referee said to Evan and Mike after arriving in the arena. "Even though you guys didn't make any rules regarding the usage of artifacts, you are not allowed to use any attack-type artifacts like a sword, spears, and other weapons. If you are a weapon user, just take a weapon of your preference from the arena's weapon racks. They are special weapons created specifically for spa, so they are safe. Second, you are not allowed to purposely attack the vital areas of your opponent, such as eyes and crotch area. If you do that, I will immediately disqualify you. Third, the match will end when either one of you loses consciousness or surrender. Fourth and last rule, if I say you to stop, you should immediately stop fighting or it won't be good for you. Do you understand? Evan and Mike nodded their head after hearing the referee. How long do you think Evan will last? Don't know, maybe around 1 minute or something. I think the match will be over in a few seconds. After all, Mike can simply ignore all of Evan's attacks because of his armor and focus on attack. Seeing both of them nodding their head, the referee slashed his hand and shouted, "You may begin." When the referee gave the signal for the start of the match, both Evan and the Mike didn't move. Evan didn't do anything because he wasn't worried about the match and wanted to see what Mike was planning to do. On the other hand, Mike didn't do anything because he wanted to see Evan try to break the defense of his armor. "Why are you not attacking? Don't tell me you are not even going to try after challenging me arrogantly that day," Mike said to Evan in a mocking tone, and he continued, "If you kneel down and apologize to me, I will let you off this time." Hearing Mike, Evan's interest to see what Mike was planning completely disappeared. A light blue layer of mana appeared around Evan as he used mana reinforcement. Even without using mana reinforcement, Evan can defeat Mike easily, but it will be too eye-catching if Evan defeats Mike with just his physical strength without anything else. So Evan decided to use mana reinforcement so that people will think his physical strength is very high because of mana reinforcement. Of course, after using mana reinforcement, Evan was not planning to use his full power since his physical strength will reach C+ rank after using mana reinforcement. If Evan attack on Mike with his full strength, even though he is wearing a C rank armor, Evan knew there is a high chance Mike will die. When other people saw Evan using mana reinforcement, they all were disappointed. At first, they still had a little hope that Evan may have a powerful skill that may be able to break the defense of Mike, but seeing him using the most basic technique, mana reinforcement, they lost all of their hope. But what happened next shocked everyone to their core, including Evan himself. Since Evan doesn't want to kill Mike, he decided to use around 80% of his strength. He thought it should be enough to break the C rank defense of Mike's armor. Evan pressed his feet on the ground, and the next second, even before most of the people who were watching the match can see what happened, he arrived before Mike. Evan felt something was wrong since his agility was way higher than he imagined. He used 80% of his strength, so his agility shouldn't be this fast, but he didn't think too much about it, and after coming before Mike he threw a punch toward him. Although the punch was casual, the air around Evan's fist exploded because of the sheer force of this punch. Evan's face changed when he saw even the power of his punch was much higher than he thought. At the last moment, Evan tried to lower the power of the fist, but because he didn't get enough time, he wasn't able to lower the power much. Mike, who was grinning just a moment ago, was stunned when Evan suddenly appeared before him, and even before he can move away he saw Evan throw a punch toward his armor. Mike felt a mountain-crushing force coming towards him, and all the invisible hairs on his bald head stood up, but there was no way Mike, who wasn't prepared for Evan's attack, can do anything about it. Boo! Crunch! A loud booming sound along with bone-breaking echoed out as Mike flew backward like a broken kite. Mike crashed 30 meters away, creating a 2 meters wide crater. The crimson color C-rank armor he was wearing was tattered, and the chest area where Evan punched him earlier was caved in. Blood continues to flow out from his mouth as Mike stopped moving after his body crashed 30 meters away. The entire arena turned silent as people looked at Evan and then at Mike, wondering just what happened. The arena was dead silent as people were looking at the heavily injured Mike and Evan, who was standing in the arena with dazed expression on his face. No one understood what happened. They all were mocking Evan when they saw him using mana reinforcement, but the next second he just threw a punch, and Mike, who was wearing a C-rank armor, was blasted away with heavy injuries. Was he wearing a fake C-rank armor? Everyone who were watching the match wondered, and when they came out from their shock, a commotion broke out in the entire arena. Holy shit, what the hell happened? How did he defeat Mike this easily? Damn, this match was fixed. That Mike was wearing fake armor. Give back the money that I betted on him. Just what kind of sorcery is this? Even Valerie and Leon were looking at Evan and the unconscious Mike with their mouth opened in a no shape. Since unlike others, Mike and Valerie are C+ rank hunters, they clearly saw how Evan moved and just threw a casual punch. Although Evan was fast, his agility was still within C+ rank, so they were able to see Evan's attack without any problem. It is unknown whether they would have been able to see Evan if he used his 100% strength. The referee, who was still standing looking at dazed Evan with a dumbfounded expression, came out from his shock after hearing the commotion and quickly ran towards Mike. He came before Mike and quickly checked his condition. When the referee felt Mike was still alive, he sighed in relief. He was so shocked because of Evan's earlier attack that he completely forgot about Mike. The ribs of Mike were broken and even his lungs were damaged pretty badly. Luckily, although Mike was on verge of death, he can still save him as long as he is still alive. A white light flashed on the referee's hand and entered in Mike's body. Under the effect of the white light, the injuries of Mike started to heal at a rapid speed. Soon the blood that was coming out from his mouth stopped and his broken ribs also started to heal. The chest area of Mike that was caved in because of Evan's punch also started to return to normal. While the referee was healing Mike, Evan was looking at his fist with a frown on his face. He was sure he used 80% of his power, and according to what he understood about his power level after practicing in VR, his 80% strength shouldn't be able to injure Mike to this degree. Evan was sure that if he didn't dismiss the power of his punch at the last moment, Mike might have actually died here because of his attack. Just what the fuck is going on? Evan was confused as to why his strength suddenly increased so much. He just went to the VR room yesterday and his strength was normal. There was no improvement in his strength. Evan arched his eyebrows and thought about his earlier strength. Although he just used 80% of his strength, it was still on par with the 100% strength that he uses in VR. Why is there this difference here? But suddenly Evan remembered something and he rubbed his eyebrows. How can I forget about this? Evan thought and stopped using mana reinforcement that was still activated. The light blue layer of mana started to disappear from Evan's body. While the light blue layer was disappearing, Evan's mouth twitched when he saw along with the light blue layer of mana there was also a very faint layer of black. Evan completely forget that his mana is different from others. There is shadow energy mixed in his mana that VR can't replicate. Although VR can create a perfect version of his body using magic bullshit technology, it can't create shadow energy that is mixed in his mana. Evan still remembered he got the title the Rule Breaker because he awakened shadow energy, which is a high-level energy and may not exist in Aurora world. Since this energy doesn't exist in the Aurora world, then how can the technology of the Aurora world can create it? How can I forget my mana reinforcement will be much stronger than the VR because of the shadow energy? Evan sighed and looked at the referee who finished treating Mike. Evan wasn't worried about what happened to Mike. As long he doesn't kill him, it won't create any unnecessary trouble for him. Although the referee treated Mike using his skill, he was still unconscious and it was unknown when he will wake up. After treating Mike, referee looked at Evan, who was now standing causally like nothing happened, and his mouth can't help but twitch. Just what kind of mana reinforcement was that? He thought and wondered whether all these years was he using fake mana reinforcement. Should I ask him to teach me mana reinforcement? I won, right? When Evan saw the referee already treated Mike, he asked him since he wanted to leave now. The referee wanted to beat down Evan for asking such a stupid question, but he took some deep breaths to calm down and nodded his head. When the referee nodded his head, Evan turned around and started to walk out of the arena. People who betted on Evan were cheering like crazy since the odds on Evan were very high, so all of them naturally earned a fortune. Ha ha ha. I betted 10,000 credits on him and now I will receive 5 times the amount. But the faces of most of the people in the arena were sullen because they betted on Mike, and were cursing him. Shit, I should have betted 5,000 credits on Evan instead of 5 credits. You at least betted 5 credits. I just betted 1 credit on him. Evan didn't care about what people were shouting and quietly left the arena. Evan left the sparring arena and it was quite simple to guess what he did just after leaving the arena. Did he test his full power using mana reinforcement in the real life? Nope. The first thing he did was to take out his phone and open the calculator. Then he used the calculator to see how much money he is going to get. Since the odds were 1, 5 and Evan betted his entire bank account, he earned quite a lot this time. Evan's eyes released a bright beam of light when he saw the number on the calculator, 510,240. I hope this time my breakup with poverty will last for the lifetime, Evan muttered and started to walk towards his room. While betting, he provided his bank account number so the winning amount will come into his bank account after some time. After arriving in his room, Evan sat down and once again used mana reinforcement. A light blue layer of the mana with a faint layer of black that was almost invisible appeared around his body. This time Evan didn't hold back and used mana reinforcement to its limit. Evan felt his body beaming with power, and he can easily feel the difference between his full power in VR and in the real life. Evan lowered the power of mana reinforcement to 80% and find his power level was the same as the VR. If he uses 80% power, he will reach at C+ rank. Evan once again used 100% power of the mana reinforcement and felt his power level. Soon Evan felt at 100% power he will be more powerful than a C+ rank hunter. Although he will still be far weaker when compared to a B rank hunter, Evan can feel he won't have any problem defeating a C+ rank hunter if he uses mana reinforcement to its full power. But soon Evan felt something and his eyes narrowed. Why am I feeling the pain all over my body? Evan thought and continued to maintain mana reinforcement to its 100% power. The pain was not too much at the beginning, but slowly it started to build up and get worse. After 5 minutes Evan felt like his body is at its limits. Evan felt that if he continues to use mana reinforcement his body will not be able to handle it. The power brought by the mana that has little shadow energy mixed in it was too much for his current body. Evan was very familiar with this feeling. It was the same as what happened when he fought against the C-rank wolf and used the 1 unit of shadow energy. After using 1 unit of shadow energy, Evan's body was at its limit and even his bones started to crack at that time. Evan quickly stopped using mana reinforcement, but he still felt throbbing pain all over his body. Evan took out a healing potion that he brought when he went out to do mission and quickly drank it. A refreshing feeling spread all over his body and the pain he was feeling started to ease up. I can't use mana reinforcement to its full power with my current body, Evan muttered and lay down on the bed. When Evan used 80% power, he reached at C+ rank and didn't feel any burden on his body. But just as he used 100% power and his power exceeded the limit of C+ rank, Evan's body wasn't able to handle the power. I should just use mana reinforcement to 80% since my body can't handle 100% currently. Evan wasn't someone who loves to harm himself for no reason, so he decided to not use mana reinforcement to 100% power before his body becomes strong enough to handle the burden of shadow energy. While laying, Evan closed his eyes and tried to sense his monarch core. A black drop that is actually shadow energy was spinning around his monarch core. Last time when his prime core evolved to D rank, it absorbed 1 unit of shadow energy and mutated. At that time Evan thought he won't get that 1 unit back, but to his surprise after 24 hours that 1 unit of shadow energy regenerated itself and appeared around his monarch core. Evan looked at the pitch black drop of energy for some time and then shook his head. Forget it, I shouldn't test it. What if my body can't handle the shadow energy like last time? I shouldn't take the unnecessary risk. Evan was thinking about using that 1 unit of shadow energy to see what will happen, but when he remembered what happened after his fight ended with the wolf, Evan just shook his head. He still remembered how his mana went chaotic and his body started to break because of the power of shadow energy. Evan does not want to feel that kind of pain for no reason. After 30 minutes the pain that he was feeling because of using mana reinforcement completely disappeared. Suddenly Evan received a message on his phone. At first, he thought it will be a message regarding the money he won after betting, so he excitedly opened the message, but he was disappointed when he saw it was not the message regarding his winning amount. It was a message from an unknown number. Now that your match is over, let's leave on Sunday after 2 days. Although the number was unknown, Evan immediately recognized who sent him this message. How did she get my number? Evan muttered because he never gave her his number, but soon he just shrugged his shoulders and sent her a message that he has no problem about leaving on Sunday. After sending her a message, Evan put away his phone and thought about buying more potions and other necessary things, but more importantly, he thought about absorbing the cores of the Black Ogre. I will absorb them tomorrow. Let's hope my luck will not turn me down this time, Evan muttered and closed his eyes. Even though he didn't use mana reinforcement to 100% power for a long time, Evan still felt his body was drained, so he decided to sleep for some time. After the match ended, Leon said goodbye to Valerie and left the arena. After leaving the arena, Leon went towards his room in the academy where he rarely visits. Leon is a C+ rank hunter, so he rarely stays in the academy and spent most of his time outside doing different kinds of missions, or clearing dungeons to gather resources for himself. The rules of the academy will be quite lax on you after you become a C rank hunter. Unlike other students who will have to attend classes if they are not doing a mission or have an emergency, you don't need to bother about these things after reaching C rank. You will be allowed to skip classes since they also knew there is very little a C rank hunter can gain after going into classes. But this thing is only limited to the students who reached the C rank, and it is not easy to reach C rank while you are still attending the academy. You can attend the academy for only 4 years, and reaching at C rank in 4 years is very hard. Unlike Evan, who doesn't need to worry about making his foundation unstable because of his monarch core, other people can't evolve their cores continuously without stabilizing it after they advance to the next stage. Read chapter 37 for more details. If they continue to advance using cores, without stabilizing their foundation, it will be very hard for them to advance to the next stage in the future. While going back, when people saw Leon, they nodded toward him, since he is one of the students who reached at C+ rank just like Valerie. Leon also nodded at them and continued to walk toward his room. After 5 minutes of walking, he arrived at his room, which was clearly much better than Evan's room. After arriving in his room, the calm face of Leon completely crumbled and started to pace back and forth. Even though I won't be going with her, I will have to inform him, Leon mumbled, and after some hesitation took out his phone. Leon dialed a number and called on it. What is it this time, Leon? Don't tell me you once again failed. Soon the call was connected and Leon heard a lazy voice of a male. Leon took a deep breath after hearing the voice and said, "She rejected the offer that you told me to make while offering the deal." There was no reply after Leon said that, but he didn't say anything else. That's quite unexpected. After a minute Leon once again heard the voice, "Did you ask for more than 1/4 ice heart flower?" "No," Leon instantly denied. "I just asked for 1/4 flower just like how you asked me." At first, she didn't reject and said she will think about it, but today when I asked her she rejected my offer. It is strange. She only needs half of the ice heart flower for the potion she wants to make. She should have agreed and let you come with her after hearing that offer, but looks like she found someone who is more capable than you, and that person doesn't ask for ice heart flower. I also think she found someone else. I already told you I should ask for money in return for helping her. That way she would not have rejected me and I would have easily completed the mission. But you said to ask for that ice heart flower. That is no use for any of us. You are naive, Leon. If you think she would not have suspected you if you asked for money, do you think she is stupid? She already know you don't need money since you can easily earn it as a C+ rank hunter. We tried in the past but failed to capture her. If you go there and offer her your help while asking for money, do you really think she will not suspect you? The best choice was to ask for 1/4 portion of the flower, since you can say someone you know needs that flower and you are helping her, so she can give you 1/4 portion of the flower. When Leon heard what the man said, he understood why he asked him to ask for flower instead of money. But what should I do now? I can't go to the dungeon with her and do what you told me to do. Forget about it. Just find out when she will be going to the dungeon. I will personally take care of this matter. Evan sat on the bed with a serious expression on his face, looking at his hand. In his hand, Evan was holding a black core. The black core was naturally the core of the black ogre that he got a few days ago. Because of his serious expression and handsome face, Evan was looking quite attractive, but as soon as he opened his mouth that attractive image was completely ruined. "Oh, Goddess of Luck, bless this humble one. I will search for your temple and donate 1 million credits there if I get the skill that I want." If other people who know more about Rura World hear what Evan just said, they will immediately understand Evan is trying to scam Goddesses of Luck. How? Because there is no temple of the Goddess of Luck in the Rura World. Evan also knew there is no temple of the Goddess of Luck in the Rura World. Just to make sure, he even checked it on the internet and wasted 10 minutes to look for the temple of the Goddess of Luck. But the search results showed there is no temple of the Goddess of Luck in Rura World. Only after confirming there is no temple of the Goddess of Luck in Rura World did Evan dare to pray like this. Since there is no temple of the Goddess of Luck, he will not have to donate his money. During prayer, he said he will search for her temple and donate 1 million credits. He will search for that temple till the moment he will die. Did Evan think the Goddess of Luck is a mentality retard and will not understand what he is thinking? Yes, he thought the Goddess of Luck is a retard. Why? He is a hopeful youth and can think of anything he wants that makes him happy. Does he need to explain everything that he thinks? After praying for one more minute, Evan was ready to absorb the first core of the Black Ogre. He opened his mouth and with a hopeful look put the core inside his mouth. Like usual, the core started to melt and turned into energy that rushed towards his monarch core. When the energy arrived near his monarch core, it started to rotate a little faster and absorbed the energy. In just a few seconds the whole energy of the D+ rank core was absorbed by his monarch core. Although Evan already knew it, he was still surprised when his monarch core instantly absorbed all energy of the D+ rank. He knew if he tried to absorb the energy of the D+ rank core through his prime core, it will take him a few minutes to absorb it completely. Evan waited in anticipation to see if he get the skill. Time continues to pass, but there was no notification indicating him that he got a new skill. Looks like there is nothing, Evan muttered and sighed. After sighing, Evan took out the second core of the Black Ogre and once again prayed just like last time. He was still hoping to get the skill. Evan once again popped the core inside his mouth and it once again turned into energy. The energy rushed towards his monarch core and was absorbed by it. Evan's heart started to beat like a drum and he looked at his status window with hopeful eyes. But when even after 3 seconds he did not get any notification, he once again sighed. Looks like the goddess of luck is not retarded, Evan thought when he didn't get the skill. Just as Evan was about to close his status window, a notification appeared on it. You have received the skill Devourer. Evan read the notifications and blinked a few times. Then he once again read the notification, and the first emotion he felt was pride. Pride. Because he was right about the goddess of luck. She is really a retard, and answered his prayer by giving him the skill he wanted the most. Don't worry, goddess of luck, since you give me the skill that I wanted, I will definitely search for your temple, Evan said out loud and looked at the details of the skill with a big smile on his face. Devourer. The skill is not compatible with the human body and can't be used by you, Evan? ? Evan's mind went blank, like it was short-circuited, and he just looked at the status window with the same big smile plastered on his face. Evan just looked at his status window without blinking his eyes, like he had just seen a ghost. Devourer. The skill is not compatible with the human body and can't be used by you. Evan coughed out blood, seeing what was in front of his eyes. He wanted to say something but didn't know what to say. It was too much for his fragile young heart. After 1 minute of silence, like a switch was turned on, Evan came out from his shocked state and shouted out loud, "What hell you mean I can't use this skill? Doesn't I have mana and I can use any skill as long as I have mana? What it has to do with me being a human? I want to file a complaint to GM. This script is wrong." Evan continued his rant for 1 more minute before calming down. Devourer. The skill is not compatible with the human body and can't be used by you. I can't use it because this skill is not compatible with the human body. Evan read the notification again and took a deep breath. He took out his phone and searched about how the Devourer skill of the Black Ogre works. When Evan finished reading how the skill of the Black Ogre worked, he suddenly felt lucky that he can't use this skill. Black Ogres can eat any monster or human and then turn it into energy to increase their level. This is an innate skill of Black Ogres. Because of this skill, the entire metabolism system of Black Ogres is completely different from humans. Whenever a Black Ogre eats a monster, its metabolism system will act with its Devourer skill and will increase the level of its core in accordance with the power of the monster it ate. This skill is quite formidable, but there is also a downbreak of this skill. Because of this skill, whenever a Black Ogre eats something, most of the energy that it got after eating will be used to increase the level of its core. Since most of the energy will be used to increase the level of its core, it will always feel hungry. No matter how much it eats, it will never be able to calm down its hunger and will always be in constant need of food. That's why many people called Black Ogres cursed monsters who can never feel peace. There was even a video on the internet. When he saw the video, Evan felt a chill run down his spine and felt quite lucky he can't use this skill. In the video, a Black Ogre was trapped in a cage. For the first 2 days, the Black Ogre was fine, and just tried to break the cage and came out from it. But when it wasn't able to come out from the cage, it started to eat itself because of hunger. Shocking thing was that since the Black Ogre had regeneration skill, the part it ate will regenerate after some time and it will eat it again. Evan felt this scene was quite eerie, like he was watching a horror movie. Although the Black Ogre still died later since it wasn't able to use the regeneration skill after it ran out of mana. Holy shit! After reading and watching the video, Evan stood up and ran out of his room. Evan came back to his room after 15 minutes while holding an X-ray in his hand. After reading how the Devourer skill worked, Evan quickly went to the medical hall of the academy to take a look at his metabolism system. Although it already said he can't use the skill, he still wanted to make sure there is nothing wrong with his body. If I had known there are these kinds of side effects for a skill, I would have never tried to absorb the Black Ogre core using my Monarch core, Evan muttered, and suddenly felt lucky that he can't use this skill. Who wants to feel hunger for all eternity? Yes, the skill is good and will have helped him greatly improve his speed of progress. But Evan doesn't want to always feel hungry just because he wanted to improve the speed of his progress. It will be a torture for him. I thought with the help of this skill I will not have to worry about cores, but looks like now I can only improve using cores. Evan sighed and massaged his temples. Just thinking about the cores he needs to improve gave him a massive headache. more than 100 C-rank core just to improve the level of his Monarch core, then more cores to improve the level of his Prime core. Evan can't even think how long it will take him to gather this many cores. He knew he is being hasty after all. It's not even 1 month since the moment he got his Monarch core and he is already at D rank. From F rank to D rank, it took him less than a month. Other hunters have to spend years for reaching this level because they need to stabilize their foundation after the breakthrough. Compared to them, Evan doesn't need to do anything like this. Although he needs more than 2 times of the cores than a normal hunter, he can still progress faster than them. I should take it easy for some time. Let's try to reach C rank first. Maybe with the help of my job class it will be more easy for me to hunt higher rank monsters and I might be able to progress even faster. Evan muttered and closed his eyes. I never thought this damned skill will be a cursed skill. Evan cursed and tried to forget about what just happened, but suddenly Evan remembered something and he stood up abruptly. How? Evan said in disbelief. And then an elated expression appeared on his face. How can I forget about it? I am truly an idiot. Devourer. The skill is not compatible with the human body and can't be used by you. Evan once again looked at the skill and his lips curled upwards, forming a big smile. Although I can't use this skill currently, I can still try to. Evan left his room with a smile on his face and made his way toward the training facilities of the academy. Evan was quite disheartened after seeing how the skill Devourer turned out, but he found a way that might be able to solve the problem of this skill and he may be able to use it. Although it will take quite some time before he can try the method, Evan was not in rush as long as the method he thought will work out. Since he is going to leave with Valerie tomorrow, Evan decided to use his remaining time of the VR room. Evan arrived at the VR room facility and entered an empty room using his hunter card. He still had around 2 hours of time left in the VR room. During these few days, Evan sparred with many C-rank hunters to hone his fighting skills and was able to improve his fighting skill quite a bit. Just like the first time, Evan fought just by using his physical strength for the past few days, but 2 days ago Evan fought against C-rank hunters using his skills to better understand them, and to his surprise, he finds out his dimensional shadow bullet skill is quite different when compared to his shadow bullet skill. Dimensional shadow bullets, you can use all shadows within 20 meters of your range as a medium to shoot up to 5 shadow bullets at a time. The power of shadow bullets depends on the mana you used in creating them. There is a 5% chance that the defender will become blind for 3 seconds after being hit by shadow bullets. Before merging his shadow bullet skill, Evan wasn't able to control the shadow bullet after shooting it, but after this skill merged with the dimensional shadow needles skill, he can now control the bullets even after shooting them. As long the bullets are within 20 meters range from him, he can change their direction in midair. On top of that, if there are no shadows around him to use as a medium, he can still shoot the bullets just like how he used to shoot shadow bullets. Even though Evan can shoot 5 bullets at the same time, he was only able to control only 3 bullets after shooting them. It was very hard for him to pay attention to different bullets after shooting them and control all of them at the same time. When Evan fully understood how the dimensional shadow bullet skill works, he was easily able to defeat C-rank hunters without even breaking a sweat. Today Evan was once again thinking about fighting using his skills. But instead of fighting against a C-rank hunter, Evan decided to fight against a C+ rank hunter. Since the Frost World will be a C+ rank dungeon, he wanted to make sure he will be able to fight against them. Please select the difficulty: F rank, E rank, D rank, C rank, B rank. Evan chose C rank just like usual and another screen appeared before him, C rank or C+ rank. But this time instead of the C rank, Evan chose the C+ rank. Please wait, you are being matched. It didn't take long for Evan to get matched with an opponent. You are entering in sparring arena. Good luck, Shadow Monarch. The surrounding around Evan blurred and he found himself standing in a grassy plain with some trees here and there. A white light flashed in front of Evan and a man who looks in his mid-30s appeared before him. The male was wearing black clothes just like Evan, but his face was not covered. He was holding daggers in both of his hands and was standing with a confident look on his face. Death Lord, 83 wins, 19 lose. He looks like an assassin, Evan thought when he saw the appearance of the Death Lord and the daggers in his hands. Just like how Evan was looking at him, the Death Lord also looked at Evan and his eyes opened wide when he saw him. Shadow Monarch, 46 wins, 0 lose. You are the shameless black skeleton, the male shouted after seeing Evan and looked at him with a sneer on his face. Evan just rolled his eyes when he heard what Death Lord said, because it was not the first time something like this was happening. Why are you not saying anything? The male spoke once again. I saw many C-rank hunters complaining about a player named Shadow Monarch who is a high C+ rank hunter but harassing C-rank hunters using low-level difficulty. Are you done? Evan can't waste his limited time chatting with the idiots, so he spoke casually. If you have a problem that I am harassing C-rank hunters, why don't you just take revenge for them? That's what I am going to do. I saw one of your fights and seeing your physical strength, I am sure you are a C+ rank hunter. And when it comes to C+ rank hunters, I am one of the strongest. The Lord spoke and showed a toothy smile. Evan raised an eyebrow hearing the confident tone of the male, but the next second he also smiled behind his mask. The stronger the opponent will be, the more fun he will have beating him. Are you ready to face your first defeat? Death Lord said and took his fighting stance. Evan didn't say anything and just nodded his head. When both parties were ready, a countdown appeared before them. I will finish this cocky bastard in less than 10 seconds with my strongest skill, the Death Lord said, and his eyes shined with eerie black light. 3, 2, 1 begin. Eternal night. Just as the match started, Death Lord shouted and a dark aura erupted from his body covering 100 meters area in less than a second. Evan was also swallowed by the black aura even before he can react. Now that you are in the territory of the Eternal Night, let's see how you are going to react when I will sever your neck with my dagger. The Eternal Night is a skill that will turn 100 meters of the area around its caster into a night. Inside the territory of the Eternal Night, your opponent won't be able to see, hear or sense anything for 10 seconds. Death Lord was 100% sure that by using this skill he will be able to defeat the shameless black skeleton without any problems. Even B-rank hunters will get affected if they are trapped in Eternal Night. Death Lord saw the dark aura covering 100 meters area in less than a second, engulfing Evan along with it. Since he just had 10 seconds, Death Lord did not waste any time and rushed towards Evan, who was looking around like a headless chicken. Death Lord smirked when he saw Evan looking around like a headless chicken. You had a very good time beating those weaker C-rank hunters. Let me show you what happened when you face someone who is at the same level as you, Death Lord thought, and he arrived behind Evan. The daggers he was holding shined in eerie black light and he slashed them toward Evan's neck. After seeing his fight last time, I thought he will be a good opponent, but looks like I am just too strong. Signed, the sorrow and the loneliness of being at the top, Death Lord thought as his daggers arrived before the neck of Evan, who was looking around like a headless chicken. But just when the daggers were about to slit Evan's neck, he formed a cunning smile behind his mask. Swish! Death Lord's expressions that were showing the sorrow and loneliness of being at the top changed when Evan, who was looking around like a headless chicken, suddenly turned into a shadow and disappeared from his place. Instead of slitting the neck, his daggers just sliced through the air. Death Lord never thought that Evan will be able to evade his attack. After all, he was sure that Evan won't be able to see, hear or sense anything because of his skill. Because of how Evan suddenly evaded his attack, he lost his balance. Even before Death Lord can regain his balance, he felt someone placing a finger on his head. Bang! Death Lord heard the sound of the shameless skeleton and a bullet pierced through his head. The body of Death Lord started to turn illusory as his eyes opened wide by the sudden turn of events. How? Death Lord thought as half of his body already disappeared from the arena. He was at the top just a moment ago. How can that black skeleton evade his attack inside the Eternal Night? He clearly saw that guy was looking around like a headless chicken. This script is wrong. Wait! Suddenly Death Lord thought something and his eyes that already disappeared from the arena opened wide because of the shock. Could it be that guy wasn't affected by the Eternal Night and was acting from the beginning so that he can catch me off guard? But how can a C+ rank hunter resist the effect of Eternal Night? Death Lord thought, and then another thing struck him. That guy never said he is a C+ rank hunter. Death Lord gritted his teeth when he finally understood what happened. That bastard is a B rank hunter and was just playing with me from the beginning. Evan tried his best not to laugh as he saw the body of the Death Lord disappear from the arena. Obviously, Evan is not a B rank hunter like how Death Lord was thinking. He is still a D rank hunter. Eternal Night, Evan muttered and chuckled. When Death Lord used Eternal Night and Evan was engulfed by the black aura, he felt his vision turn black. His hearing disappeared and his other senses like touch and smell also got restricted, but just after a second, although his other senses stayed restricted, his vision returned to normal, and he was able to see everything properly without any problems. Evan was confused just for a split second when he remembered after getting his Monarch core he was able to see in the dark without any problem. At first, he thought this was similar to night vision. But after seeing even a skill like Eternal Night can't restrict his vision, Evan had a feeling that his vision is far greater than night vision. After recovering his vision, Evan still acted like someone who can't see or hear anything and was affected by the Eternal Night. When Death Lord finally arrived near him, he used Shadow Walk to avoid the attack and finished him with a shadow bullet in a single motion. I thought I will have a good fight against a C+ rank hunter, but I never thought I will meet an idiot who just delivered himself to me on a silver platter. Evan muttered and was about to search for a different opponent when a message popped out in front of his eyes. You have received a friend request. Evan raised an eyebrow when he saw the message and checked who sent him a friend request, but when he saw the person who sent him friend request, his expression turned strange. Death Lord, what this fellow want from me? Evan wondered, and after pondering for a moment he accepted the friend request. Just as Evan accepted the friend request, another message popped out in front of him. Your friend Death Lord is challenging you for a match. Accept, reject. So this guy wants to challenge me again. Evan muttered and accepted the challenge. He also wanted to see real strength of Death Lord since he said he is quite powerful. Evan knew he won the previous match because he caught him off guard. If instead of using Eternal Night he fought Evan with other skills, it would not have been this easy for him to win the match. When Evan accepted the challenge, a white light flashed in front of him and Death Lord appeared once again. You bastard, you're a B rank hunter, Death Lord shouted the moment he appeared and saw Evan. Evan was taken aback when he heard what Death Lord shouted and looked at him with a blank expression on his face. B rank hunter, Evan thought, and looked behind him wondering if a B rank hunter is standing there, but didn't find anyone. Are you talking to me? Evan asked Death Lord when he did not find anyone behind him. There are just two of us, so, of course, I am talking to you. Evan was speechless and he didn't know what to say. He is just a D rank hunter and was already having a headache when people in VR were calling him a C+ rank hunter who is harassing C rank hunters. Like this is not enough, now this guy is calling him a B rank hunter. Look, I don't know why you are calling me a B rank hunter, and honestly I don't care, but just for your information, I am a C+ rank hunter. If you want to fight against me then fight. If not, just leave already. I don't have time to talk nonsense with you, Evan said and took his fighting stance. He called himself a C+ rank hunter because he knew if he said he is a D rank hunter there is no way Death Lord will believe in him. You are a C+ rank hunter? Death Lord sneered after hearing Evan. There is no way a C+ rank hunter will be able to avoid the effects of the Eternal Night. Evan didn't even bother to say anything and just opened his settings and muted Death Lord. Death Lord, who was about to vent out his anger, received notification that his opponent muted him. Seeing the notification, Death Lord gritted his teeth. He challenged Evan just to vent out his anger, but he completely forget that his opponent can mute him. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. A countdown appeared before Death Lord as Evan used the function of Force Match. If your opponent is inside the arena for more than 1 minute, you can use this function to start the match. If your opponent is delaying the match, Death Lord took a deep breath and looked at Evan coldly. I know I won't be able to defeat him since he is B rank hunter, but I still want to give him a good punch before the end of this match, Death Lord thought as the countdown reached 0 and the match started. Boo! Just as the match started, Evan pressed his feet on the grassy plain and used haste skill to charge toward Death Lord. Because of the force of Evan's strength, the ground beneath his feet shattered and a small crater appeared there. Death Lord saw Evan coming towards him, but he was surprised when he saw he can still keep track of Evan. Although Evan was fast, his agility was still within the range of a C+ rank hunter. Although Death Lord was surprised when he saw Evan was using the agility of a C+ rank hunter, he didn't sit idly and made his own move. Phantom Clones. Death Lord used another one of his class skills. Just as the Death Lord used his skill, Evan arrived before him and threw a pouch toward him. The heavy punch landed straight at the face of Death Lord, but Evan was shocked when his fist passed through the body of Death Lord, and the next second the body of the Death Lord turned into black smoke and disappeared. Suddenly Evan felt something and looked to his right side and saw Death Lord standing 10 meters away from him. Evan didn't understand what kind of skill Death Lord was using, but just as he was about to charge towards him, once again he felt something and looked to his left side only to see another Death Lord standing there. Evan looked behind him and saw another Death Lord. There were a total of 3 of them and all of them looked identical to each other. Evan didn't panic when he saw 3 of them and shot 3 shadow bullets, 1 for each, but to Evan's surprise, all 3 of them moved at the same time and dodged the bullets. Although Evan was surprised seeing they can move, he just smirked and controlled the shadow bullets. Suddenly all 3 shadow bullets changed direction in midair at the same time and once again went towards the 3 Death Lords who just dodged the bullet. This time only 1 was able to dodge the bullet and 2 fake Death Lords were destroyed by shadow bullets. Death Lord shouted something, but since Evan already muted him, he didn't hear what he said. When the real Death Lord saw his clones were destroyed, he cursed and looked at the bullet that was following him like homing missile. Damn, just what kind of skill is this? Death Lord cursed and lifted his dagger. A black light shined around his dagger and he slashed toward the incoming bullet. Fury slash! Death Lord muttered and his dagger collided against the bullet. Boom! A small explosion happened and Death Lord slid backward. Don't tell me that's all you have got. Suddenly Death Lord heard Evan's voice from behind him and all hairs on his body stood up to no end. While Death Lord was dealing with the bullet, Evan used his Shadow Walk skill to appear behind him. Death Lord quickly turned around only to see a fist coming towards him like a raging bull. Death Lord knew it was too late for him to dodge the punch, so all he can do was to use his daggers to block the impact of the punch. Boom! A booming sound echoed out as Death Lord flew away because of the powerful impact. Death Lord felt his hands that were holding daggers shaking and he almost dropped daggers from his hand. He crashed 10 meters away and a wave of pain assaulted his entire body. But the worst thing that Death Lord felt was this guy is just using the strength of a C+ rank hunter. Death Lord, who just crashed 10 meters away, suddenly felt an extreme sense of danger and saw another black bullet coming towards him. Shit, he cursed when he saw the bullet and his body flashed with black light. Just when the shadow bullet was about to hit him, he suddenly disappeared from the place where he crashed a moment ago. The shadow bullet struck the ground and created a deep hole there. Evan looked around him vigilantly when Death Lord suddenly disappeared. He extended his senses to all directions but wasn't able to find him. Death Lord, who used his invisibility skill, was just standing 10 meters away from Evan and was about to attack him when he was startled because of Evan's next move. Evan used Dimensional Shadow Bullet and shot 3 bullets. Then he controlled those 3 bullets to circle around him within 3 meters of range. 1 bullet was circling at his head level, 1 was circling at his waist level, and the last one was around his ankle level. What is this shit? Death Lord was dumbfounded and looked at 3 bullets that were circling around Evan. He was thinking about sneak attack on Evan after using his invisibility skill, but now he can't get close to Evan or he will have to get past those 3 bullets that were completely covering him. If he decided to attack Evan, he will definitely get hit by those bullets. His only option was to attack from distance, but he doesn't have any long-range attack. What can he do? Death Lord looked at his daggers and thought about throwing them at Evan after going a little close to him, but remembering Evan's agility, he was sure that there is a high chance Evan will dodge that attack. While Death Lord was thinking, Evan was also trying to locate him because he can't control these 3 bullets for a long time. Continuously controlling 3 bullets at the same time put great pressure on his mind. and he also has to use mana to maintain the bullets. Evan was hoping that the effect of whatever skill Death Lord was using to hide from him will run out before he can't control the bullets anymore or run out of mana. Evan was right, because as time passes Death Lord was becoming restless since his invisibility skill will only last for 30 seconds. When 20 seconds pass, Death Lord can't hold back anymore and decided to attack Evan. From what Death Lord saw earlier, he knew once his invisibility skill run out there will be very little chase for him to win the match, so he decided to take a gamble. He was very sad because his best skill, Eternal Night, that gave him an advantage, was useless against Evan, but there was no point thinking about it, and Death Lord also knew that. He took a deep breath and shot toward Evan using his full agility. Death Lord bent down his body while running to avoid the bullet that was spinning rapidly around Evan's head level. He didn't care about the bullets that were spinning around Evan's waist and ankle level, since he won't die even if he got hit by those bullets. He just wanted to avoid the bullet that was spinning around Evan's head level so that it won't pierce through his head and kill him instantly. His eyes were full of determination. He knew although he won't die, it will be very painful when those bullets will hit him. But he was ready to endure pain. He will endure pain and won't slow down. He will definitely slit the throat of this shameless skeleton. He knew if he successfully land his attack and slit Evan's throat, he will win the match. At the beginning of the match he just wanted to land a punch on Evan, but since that guy still didn't use the strength of B-rank hunter, now he wanted to win the match. Death Lord was 3 meters away when the bullet that was spinning at waist level hit him. He felt a heart-wrenching pain, and his invisibility skill also stopped because he received an attack, but the determination from his eyes didn't waver. But in less than a microsecond he felt the same gut-wrenching pain from his ankle area and his vision suddenly turned black. Death Lord? ? Because of suddenly losing his vision, Death Lord lost his balance and dropped to the ground face first while running. As soon as his shadow bullet hit Death Lord, Evan turned around but was startled when he saw a person wearing black clothes sliding towards his direction face first on the ground. Evan's face ached just by looking at how Death Lord's face was scuffing against the ground. What kind of painful entry is this? Evan thought and looked at Death Lord strangely, who was shouting something while his body was shaking like he was in deep pain. Unknown to Evan, when Death Lord got hit by second shadow bullet, the 5% effect where your enemy will turn blind for 3 seconds activated, and Death Lord lost his balance. Death Lord was just too unlucky. Is he feeling pain because he got hit by shadow bullets? Evan thought and found it reasonable. Although he didn't know why Death Lord was sliding on the ground, he still decided to end the match so he won't feel pain anymore. Looking at the condition of Death Lord, Evan knew the match is already over, and since he just have 2 hours of time to use VR, he did not want to waste his time with Death Lord. He still wanted to fight against other C+ rank hunters. Evan pointed his finger towards Death Lord and shot a shadow bullet straight in his head. The shaking body of Death Lord soon started to turn illusionary and disappeared from the arena. Death Lord was cursing and asking Evan why his vision suddenly turned black, but since Evan muted him earlier, he did not hear him and started another match with a different C+ rank hunter. Evan came out from the VR room with a satisfied expression on his face. His 2 hours of time in the VR room was over, so he left the room. After defeating Death Lord a second time, that guy once again challenged Evan, but Evan rejected his challenge without hesitation. He already defeated that guy 2 times and was aware about most of his skills, so there was no point for Evan to fight against him. He won't get anything after fighting against Death Lord, so he rejected his challenge. Evan wanted to fight different C+ rank hunters so that he can improve himself, not for his winning streak or anything. After rejecting Death Lord challenge, Evan fought against 3 more C+ rank hunters. Even though he won all 3 fights, those 3 fights were much harder than his fight against Death Lord. Evan even felt like that Death Lord was a fake C+ rank hunter. Naturally, Death Lord was not a fake C+ rank hunter, it was just that his main skill was useless against Evan. If Death Lord fought against other C+ rank hunters, his Eternal Night skill won't be ineffective, and he will have a high chance of winning the match. But I really need a defensive skill, Evan muttered and rubbed his chin. During his fight, he once again felt the need for a defensive type of skill. He has Dimensional Shadow Bullet for the attack, Haste for speed, and Shadow Walk for escape, but he doesn't have any skill for defense. I am going into Frost World Dungeon tomorrow with Valerie. There will be many ice types monsters. I might find a monster with good defensive ice type skill and I might get its skill after absorbing its core, Evan muttered and arrived at his room. After arriving in his room, Evan took a long bath since he was drenched in sweat after laying in VR for 2 hours. Evan came out from the bathroom after 30 minutes, with just a towel around his waist. After coming out of the bathroom, Evan went towards the small kitchen area of the room that he wasn't able to use much during his life since most of the time he just ate cup noodles, but today was different. Since he won a good amount of money, he is not going to eat cup noodles anymore. Today, before absorbing the cores of the Black Ogre, he went out to buy some potions and other necessary things that might come in handy when he is inside the dungeon. He also tried to buy an invisibility potion since he wanted to cook cup noodles with it, but he was disappointed when the receptionist told him they don't have any invisibility potion currently. Although disappointed, Evan didn't take it to heart. He is rich now. There will be many other occasions where he will get the chance to try his unique cup noodles. When he wasn't able to buy cup noodles, he bought fish that he wasn't able to eat for a long time. But he didn't buy any normal fish, he bought blue starfish, which is an E+ rank fish. Evan never ate this fish in the past, but he heard from many people that this fish is very tasty. The fish cost him 3,500 credits, but Evan is rich now so he can afford it. Evan came into the kitchen area and took out 15 centimeters long light blue color fish that he bought from the market a few hours ago. But just after taking out the fish, Evan realized there was a serious problem. A problem that he forgot in the past 2 years since he didn't need to use the kitchen. How do I cook fish? Evan was dazed. He completely forgot he don't know how to cook, but he suddenly remembered the true friend of the bachelors who don't know how to cook. Evan looked at his bed and saw his mobile phone there. He picked up his mobile and searched bachelorcooking.com, which is a famous website where many simple recipes that can be cooked by bachelors are available. After opening the website, Evan searched for the recipe for blue starfish and found tens of recipes available for it. Evan heard grilled star blue fish taste the best, so he looked for a grilled starfish recipe among them. Soon he found a good recipe that he found quite easy and decided to use that. Evan cleaned the fish and marinated it according to the recipe. The recipe was very simple and Evan thought he will be able to make good grilled fish easily. After 2 hours of hard work, Evan was finally done with the cooking. A sweet aroma was drifting in Evan's small room and he was drooling just by looking at the fish in front of him. After Evan was done with cooking, he did not immediately start eating. He first opened the bachelorcooking.com once again and searched for the recipe that he just cooked. After opening the recipe, he gave it 1 star out of 5. Why did Evan give the recipe just 1 star even though he was drooling? The reason was simple. At the end of the recipe it was written that it will only take 30 minutes to cook the fish if he uses this recipe, but it took him a total of 2 hours to cook this fish. It was too much of a fraud. He can't support this kind of recipe. That's why he gave it just 1 star. After giving the recipe 1 star, Evan threw away his phone on the bed and picked up the plate of the fish. He sniffed the sweet aroma of the fish and wasn't able to hold back anymore. He tasted the fish and his eyes lit up. It is indeed the fish that cost me 3,500 credits, Evan muttered and slowly ate the fish. While he was eating, Evan received a message. Meet me at the entrance of the academy at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Evan looked at the message and after glancing at it for one time, he once again focused on eating. The next day after breakfast, Evan checked his shadow storage. He placed most of his important things inside his shadow storage instead of the storage ring. After Evan was sure he didn't forget anything, he looked at the clock and saw it was already 8:55. After seeing the time, Evan came out from his room, and after locking the door he made his way towards the entrance of the academy where Valerie asked him to meet her. This time when people of the academy saw Evan, they didn't mock him like usual since most of the students know how Evan easily defeated Mike. Although Evan never cared about what people talked about him, He still felt great when he saw people were not talking shit about him anymore. Evan soon came out from the academy, but he didn't see Valerie anywhere. He took out his phone and saw there was still 1 minute left. Don't tell me she is also one of the perverts who always arrive on the fixed time, not a second late or earlier, Evan thought, and put away his phone. Just like this, 5 minutes passed away. All right, she is not one of those righteous perverts, Evan muttered and thought about calling her, but just as he was about to call her, he saw a pink Lamborghini coming towards him. Soon the pink Lamborghini stopped in front of him and he saw Valerie, who was sitting in it. Sorry for being late, let's go, Valerie said to Evan and gestured him to sit inside. Evan didn't reply to her and just looked at the car with a dazed look. Shit, Evan cursed and looked at the pink color of the car and then at smiling Valerie. Hello, what are you thinking? Valerie asked Evan when he didn't say anything to her. Evan coughed and said with a twitching mouth, nothing, I just felt your car is quiet. Unique, of course it is unique. There is no other car with the same color in the entire Astrate City, Valerie said in a prideful tone. I think you won't find a car with this perverted color in the entire world, Evan thought, and after making sure no one was looking, he sat inside the car. Let's go, Evan said to Valerie as soon as he sat inside. He doesn't want anyone to see him sitting in a pink car. Valerie thought Evan was in a hurry because she came late, so she nodded her head and the car charged forward. If you have any questions about the dungeon you can ask me, Valerie said to Evan and focused on driving. I do have some doubts, Evan said and asked. You told me I won't have to pay the 20% fees that people have to pay, but I searched about Frost World Dungeon and found it is controlled by the Silver Star Guild, which is the platinum level guild of the Astrate City. Are you sure I won't have to pay anything? Since I made a deal with you, I will naturally take care of it. You don't have to worry about that. There are 4 levels of the guilds. From lower to higher they are bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. Just like 6 major hunters academics, there are 6 platinum level guilds. These platinum level guilds are situated in the same city as the other major academies. For example, in Astrate City, there is Astrate Academy and Silver Star Guild. In Naflium City there is Clear Sky Academy and White Shark Guild, which is a platinum level guild. All the guild masters of these 6 platinum rank guilds are S-rank hunters. The platinum level guilds and the academies are located in the same city because these 6 cities are the main cities for the human race. Evan nodded after hearing Valerie and didn't ask how she is going to take care of it. As long as he doesn't have to pay, he was fine with that, so he asked his second question. When I was looking for the information about the Frost World Dungeon, I find out the Ice Heart Flower that you talked about is actually not a regular reward for clearing the dungeon. Is that true? Yes, Valerie nodded after hearing Evan and said, Ice Heart Flower is a very rare flower that takes 10 years to bloom. There is an ice pond inside the Frost World Dungeon where this flower blooms every 10 years. Normally you don't receive the Ice Heart Flower as the reward for clearing the dungeon, but every 10 years when the flower blooms you can get it by clearing the dungeon. The Ice Heart Flower already bloomed 2 days ago, so as long as we clear the dungeon we will definitely get the flower. Looks like that flower is quite rare, Evan thought, and felt he got scammed by Valerie. Since that flower is rare, he should have asked for more than 100,000 credits for helping her, but suddenly Evan thought about something and asked, you said that flower bloomed 2 days ago? Yes, Valerie nodded her head, and seeing the frown on Evan's face she said with a smile, you don't have to worry about other people clearing the dungeon and taking away the flower. Oh, why is that? Evan asked with a curious expression, because he indeed thought that someone might have already cleared the dungeon and taken away the flower. No one can take away the flower, because Silver Star Guild closed the Frost World Dungeon 10 days ago and no one is allowed to enter it. Then are you sure we can enter? Don't worry, there won't be any problem for us, Valerie said in a confident tone. Privilege of being rich, I guess, Evan thought after hearing Valerie's confident tone and shrugged his shoulders. I have one last question, Evan said and looked outside the car. Go ahead, it is actually not related to the dungeon we are going, Evan said and looked at Valerie. Can you tell me about the Tower of Ascension? Evan got the title Rule Breaker, and with the help of this title he can enter the Tower of Ascension without reaching S rank. Evan has very little information about the Tower of Ascension. He knew if someone clears the Tower of Ascension they will be able to surpass S rank, and will reach a higher world than Aurora world. In the academic library, there was very little information available about the Tower of Ascension. He checked on the internet and also didn't find much information there. There was some minor information like your race may also evolve after clearing the Tower of Ascension, but overall he wasn't able to find anything significant about it. Evan wanted to gather more information about the Tower of Ascension, so he asked Valerie, although he wasn't sure he can guess Valerie's backward is not simple, and she might have more information about the Tower of Ascension. Tower of Ascension? Valerie looked at Evan with a surprised expression and asked, are you planning to challenge it in the future? Yes. Do you know what is the requirement for entering the Tower of Ascension? Valerie asked in a doubtful tone and looked at Evan. You have to reach S rank before you can challenge it, Evan said calmly. Seeing how Evan was talking about reaching S rank so calmly, Valerie wondered from where this guy was getting his confidence but nodded her head. Yes, you have to reach S rank before you can challenge the Tower of Ascension. But do you know very few people who reach S rank challenge it? Very few people challenge it. Evan raised an eyebrow and asked, why is that? Did you search for the information about the Tower of Ascension in the Academy library? Valerie didn't answer Evan and asked another question. Yes, then you should know you will leave Aurora world and will reach a higher world if you clear the Tower of Ascension. Yeah, I know about it. Evan nodded his head. You will leave Aurora world and will reach a higher world where your power will be at the bottom of the hierarchy, Valerie said and looked at Evan. From S rank hunter who is at the top of the power in this world to someone who is at the bottom of the power. Do I still need to tell you why very few people challenge the Tower of Ascension after reaching S rank? Hearing Valerie, an understanding look appeared on Evan's face and he said while shaking his head, no need. I can guess in Aurora world, the highest level you can reach is the S rank. After reaching S rank you can easily get whatever you want in Aurora world. But these S rank hunters will be at the bottom of the power if they clear the Tower of Ascension and reach the higher world. After working so hard they finally reached S rank and are at the top of the world. Why will they go somewhere where they are nothing but at the bottom of the food chain? Most of the S rank hunters don't challenge Tower of Ascension because of this same reason, Valerie said, and she continued. Unlike Aurora world where the human race is at the top of the food chain, there are many other races that are more powerful than humans. In the higher world, human race is above average race. There are many other powerful races like vampires, dwarfs, elves, dragons, and many others. Evan, who was hearing from the side, was stunned when he heard Valerie. He already guessed that there might be many other races if he go to the higher world, but now that Valerie was telling him he was still shocked. He was also curious about from where Valerie got this information because he didn't find something like this in the academic library or on the internet. Although Evan was curious, he didn't interrupt Valerie and continued to listen. You should have read that there is a chance your race might also evolve after clearing the Tower of Ascension. Evan nodded his head because he saw something like this on the internet. Actually it is wrong, Valerie said and shook her head. It is actually your core that might evolve after clearing the Tower of Ascension. Core evolution? Evan asked in a confused voice. I am also not sure about it, Valerie said in an uncertain voice, but from what I know it is actually your core that might evolve after clearing the Tower of Ascension. The information saying your race might evolve is actually wrong. How can a core can evolve? Evan asked and thought about his prime core that mutated recently. Beats me, Valerie said and shrugged her shoulders. So after knowing you will be nothing but a normal person there, that might even die just after reaching there, are you still going to challenge the Tower of Ascension? Valerie looked at Evan and asked curiously after telling all the things that she know about the Tower of Ascension. Of course, I am going to challenge it. Hearing Valerie, Evan did not even bother to think about it and said instantly. Valerie was taken aback when she heard Evan's instant reply and can't help but ask, are you not afraid after hearing what I just told you? Evan did not say anything and just smiled after hearing Valerie. Afraid? Why would he be afraid? He has his monarch core. Evan was sure that after clearing the Tower of Ascension when he will reach the higher world he won't be at the bottom of the food chain. And if what Valerie said about core evolution is true, then doesn't it mean there is also a chance his monarch core will evolve after clearing the Tower of Ascension? His monarch core is already terrifying. What will happen if it evolves once again? If this is not enough, then his prime core is also not normal. It just mutated some days ago. What will happen if it will also evolves again? If even after having so many advantages he is afraid of challenging the Tower of Ascension, doesn't it mean he should just go somewhere and die? Seeing Evan didn't say anything, Valerie also didn't insist further and focused on driving. The Frost World dungeon is quite far away from the academy, and it will take them 5 hours to reach there. Evan never got a chance to visit the city properly, so after he stopped talking with Valerie he started to look outside. He thought about asking how she knows so many things about the higher world, and why this information is not available in the library, but after careful consideration, he didn't ask about it. She already told him many things that he wasn't aware about, and since this information is not available in the library and on the internet, it is clear the source of the information will not be normal. He doesn't want to get himself involved in some kind of secret organization shit that often appears in novels that he used to read in his past life. When Evan was watching outside from the car, he noticed when some people saw Valerie's car they shook their heads and even showed pity-filled expressions. Evan's mouth twitched when he saw this, and he stopped looking outside. Since there was nothing to do for him, he took out his phone and started to play Super Zario game. He is going to save the princess who is locked in the Demon King's palace. Valerie glanced at Evan and found it weird that he was playing kids' games, but she didn't say anything and focused on driving. 5 hours later they arrived at their destination. During these 5 hours, Evan discovered a huge secret. The princess in the Super Zario game is definitely a bit H. He saved her 3 times from the Demon King, but each time after saving her she got herself kidnapped once again. Evan had a feeling that she likes the food of the demon castle more than the food of her own kingdom. He wasted his 5 hours. Suddenly the car stopped and Evan looked outside only to see a closed giant door and high wall with 2 D-rank hunters guarding it. When those 2 guards saw the pink car they quickly opened the door and stepped aside. Valerie drove the car and passed through the door. When the car passed through the door, Evan saw the area behind the door that was covered by high walls was 4 kilometers square inches size. Some small cabins were built in that area, but what caught Evan's attention was the cabin that was built at the rightmost corner of the area. There was no cabin near it and Evan can feel some energy fluctuations from that cabin. He remembered he felt the same kind of energy fluctuations from the Shadow Kingdom dungeon that he visited not long ago. But the energy fluctuation that he was feeling from this cabin was far greater than the fluctuation of that Shadow Kingdom dungeon. His portal is inside that cabin? Evan wondered when he felt the energy fluctuation. Let's go. After parking her car, Valerie said to Evan. Both of them left the car, and Valerie led him toward the portal from which the energy fluctuations were coming. The dungeon portal is inside that cabin, right? Evan asked Valerie while going towards the cabin. Yeah, Valerie nodded her head. Why did they build this cabin around the dungeon? This is not a simple cabin, Valerie said. There is actually a formation in that cabin that can hold down monsters if by chance a dungeon breakout happens. Even though the formation is not much powerful, it can still hold back monsters for some time before the backup arrives here and help them surpass the monsters. What about the other cabins? They are normal cabins. Since there is a high chance of people getting injured inside the dungeon, they can get treatment in those cabins. Oh, Evan nodded his head in understanding and didn't ask anything else. Soon they arrived before the cabin and Evan saw a man in his mid-30s sitting there on a chair. The man was a C+ rank hunter and he was playing Super Zario game with an excited expression on his face. Evan looked at the man with a dead face and didn't say anything. Valerie on the other hand became curious about the Super Zario game. She saw Evan was also playing this game earlier for the whole time. Is this game really exciting? Valerie thought, and when she saw the excited expression of the man she decided to play it after clearing the dungeon. Valerie coughed to get the attention of the man who was so submerged in the game that he did not notice them. No reaction. "Don't worry princess, this prince will surely save you this time," the man muttered, and his excited expression turned serious. "Valerie, Evan." Evan wanted to tell this guy that the princess is actually wife of the Demon King and will once again return to him even if he saves her, but seeing his serious expressions he wasn't able to bring himself to say that. "Looks like you are enjoying the game, Prince Jerry." Instead of coughing, Valerie said out loud this time, "Yeah, the game is _ Jerry, who was playing the game, closed his mouth midway and quickly looked up. Miss Valerie. Jerry put away his phone and stood up while looking at her awkwardly. Game over. Since Jerry put away the phone without pausing the game, Zario died and the game announcement rang out. Jerry's mouth twitched when he heard the game announcement and the awkward atmosphere turned super awkward for Jerry. "Can we go?" Valerie did not want to waste her time, so she asked Jerry, who was cursing inwardly, "Please go ahead." When Jerry saw Valerie did not talk about what happened earlier, his eyes lit up and he stepped aside, giving way to Valerie. "Let's go," Valerie said to Evan, and went inside the cabin. Evan was once again surprised when he saw the guard allowed them to enter without checking anything, but he still followed Valerie inside the cabin. When Evan entered the cabin, he saw a 3 meters high and 2 meters wide blue color portal. "Let's go in," Valerie said, and stepped inside the portal. Evan looked at the portal and followed after Valerie. Upon entering the portal, Evan felt his surroundings blur a little. The next second, intense white light shined in front of him. Because of the intense light, Evan was forced to close his eyes. When Evan closed his eyes, he felt a cold wind blow past him, sending a shiver all over his body. Evan opened his eyes and saw a white world in front of him. "Am I in Antarctica?" Evan mumbled, seeing ice all over in front of him. "What is Antarctica?" Evan heard Valerie's voice and saw her standing right beside him. "Nothing." "So what do we have to do to clear this floor?" "I can't see anything but ice here," Evan asked Valerie after he didn't see anything other than ice. "Can you see that ice structure over there?" Valerie pointed in front of them and asked Evan. Evan looked in front of him, and after focusing, he saw an ice structure that was resembling a pyramid. "Do we need to reach there in order to clear this floor?" Evan asked after seeing the pyramid. "Yes, this doesn't seem hard though," Evan muttered after hearing confirmation from Valerie. According to Evan, the pyramid was around 10 kilometers away from them. There might be some difference because everything there was white, and it is much harder to accurately guess the distance in that kind of environment. "We will have to face many monsters on the way, but you are right, it won't be much difficult since it is just the first floor. There are 10 floors in this dungeon and it will become much harder when we will reach higher floors. By the way, I forget to tell you one thing." Just as Evan was ready to march forward, he heard Valerie and looked at her with a frown on his face. "What is it?" "Don't look at me like that. I just forget to tell you, since we can get the Ice Heart flower after clearing the dungeon, and this flower is not a regular reward, the difficulty of the dungeon will be at an all-time high. We will have to face more monsters that people have to usually face while clearing the dungeon. If it is just that, then it is fine." The frown on Evan's face disappeared after hearing Valerie, and he said causally, "It is fine?" Valerie asked in a dazed voice. "How is it fine?" Evan didn't reply to her and started to walk towards the pyramid. Why would he complain if there are more monsters? For Evan, the more the better. He needs many C-rank cores in order to evolve his Monarch core to C rank. And this is the perfect opportunity for him to farm cores. This is a C+ rank dungeon with 10 floors. According to what he knew, they will face C-rank monsters from the 1st floor to the 4th floor. On the 5th floor, they will face a C+ rank monster, but this monster will be much stronger than normal C+ rank monsters since it will be the boss monster of the dungeon. Then from the 6th floor to the 9th floor, they will face C+ rank monsters, and on the 10th floor, they will face the second boss monster of the dungeon. This monster will also be a C+ rank monster, but it will be more powerful than C+ rank monsters. Evan was quite excited because he will be able to collect some C+ rank cores from floor 6th to 9th. If he uses C+ rank cores, it will take even fewer cores for him to evolve his Monarch core. Previously, Evan made a mistake when he compared the energy requirement for his Monarch core evolution. He thought normal people need around 50 C rank cores to evolve their D rank prime to C rank, and since he need around 100 cores he thought his monarch core needs 2 times more energy to evolve, but he completely forget other people can't absorb 100% energy from the cores like him. They can only absorb around 30% energy from a core, or a maximum of 50% if they have a skill related to the core type. Normal people can advance their prime cow from D rank to C rank after using around 50 C rank cores, even though they can only absorb 30% of energy from it. But he who can absorb 100% energy needs more than 100 cores to advance to C rank. When Evan realized this fact later he got goosebumps just thinking about it. But the power Monarch core is giving me is worth that much energy, Evan thought and focused on the dungeon. It was hard to walk on ice, so Evan and Valerie used mana reinforcement around their feet to not get hindered by the ice. Just after 5 minutes of walking both Evan and Valerie felt something and stopped walking. Suddenly they saw 2 white figures coming towards them. Ice leopards, Valerie muttered when she saw 2 meters long and 3 meters high white leopards with deep yellow eyes coming towards them. Be careful while fighting against ice leopards. Although they are just C-rank monsters, their agility is quite high, Valerie said to Evan. By the way, I forget to ask you something. Evan ignored what Valerie said and spoke. What? How will we divide the cores that we will get? Evan asked in a serious voice. Valerie's mouth twitched when she heard Evan's serious voice, but she still said, you can keep all the cores from the monsters you will kill yourself. And since I will be taking Ice Heart Flower after we clear the dungeon, I will give you 50% cores that I will gather here. Is this fine with you? Evan's lips curled upward when he heard Valerie and he nodded his head. Let's quickly take care of them so we can clear this floor, Valerie said, and was about to charge forward when she felt something and stopped. When those ice leopards were just 20 meters away from them, 2 black bullets shot out from their own shadows and penetrated their chest, destroying their heart instantly. Valerie looked with a shocked face as bodies of the both ice leopards dropped to the ice lifelessly. What the hell was that? Even though she saw with her own eyes, Valerie wasn't able to understand what was happening. I hope I will find a core. Valerie came out from her shock when she heard Evan mumbling and looked at him with a dazed look. Evan was walking towards the ice pyramid calmly with a small smile on his face. Beside him, Valerie was walking with a twitching mouth. It has been 30 minutes since Evan killed those 2 ice leopards that appeared before them. After killing those ice leopards, Evan got 1 ice cow from one of the leopards. Evan was happy after getting a C-rank core just after killing 2 ice leopards, so he walked forward with much more enthusiasm. During these 30 minutes they encountered 10 more ice leopards and all of them were C-rank, just like the 2 leopards they faced earlier. These ice leopards always appear in groups. They encounter 2 groups of 2 ice leopards and 2 groups of the 3 ice leopards. When they encounter the group of the 2 ice leopards, just like the first time Evan killed them using his dimensional shadow bullet, since Valerie said to him he can keep all the cores from the monsters he kill himself, he decided to kill most of the monsters. So whenever an ice leopard came before them, even before Valerie can do anything, he killed them using his skill. Valerie was quite frustrated seeing Evan was killing all of the monsters, but she calmed down when she remembered soon they will encounter groups where there will be more than 2 ice leopards. From what she saw, Evan always used 2 bullets to kill them, so she thought he can only use 2 bullets at the same time. So when they came before a group of 3 ice leopards, she was ready to spill her first blood in the dungeon. Valerie placed her hand on the hilt of her sword and bent down her body to charge forward, but just as she was about to shoot forward, she saw 3 black bullets shot out from their shadows and killed them just like before. Valerie, who was ready to charge forward, was frozen in her place and just watched with a dazed face as Evan once again walked towards the leopards and started to look for cores. What was that? Wasn't he supposed to only use 2 bullets at the same time? How did they turn into 3 this time? After looking for the core, Evan didn't even glance at Valerie, who was still frozen in the posture of charging forward, and started to walk towards the ice pyramid. Currently, his attention was fully focused on the cores. When Valerie saw Evan walking away, she stopped playing statue and quickly chased after him. After walking for some time they once again encounter a group of 3 ice leopards. Seeing those ice leopards this time, Valerie did not try to do anything and just watched as they were once again killed by Evan's dimensional shadow bullets. After killing these 10 leopards, Evan found 3 cores and now he was walking with a slight smile on his face. "These ice leopards are quite weak," Evan muttered while walking. Valerie, who heard Evan, wanted to smash his head. Although ice leopards are weak, the problem hunters face while fighting against them is their agility. The agility of ice leopards is very high. Although it is inferior to a C+ rank hunter, they are still dangerous because they always attack in groups. But since Evan was killing them using dimensional shadow bullets, they were not able to show their power. Suddenly Valerie and Evan once again stopped and looked in front of them. In front of them, 4 ice leopards were coming towards them. Seeing the 4 ice leopards, both Evan's and Valerie's eyes lit up. This time Valerie was more hopeful. She didn't believe Evan will be able to kill those 4 ice leopards like before. Valerie was 90% confident that this time she will finally be able to fight, but her confidence shattered like glass when she glanced at Evan and saw his shining eyes. That skill won't be able to kill 4 at the same time, right? Valerie tried to grab the last straw of hope, but Evan was merciless as he once again killed those 4 ice leopards using his dimensional shadow bullet. It is hard for him to control 4 bullets at the same time, like how he controlled bullets while fighting the Death Lord, but if he just has to shoot bullets, he can shoot all 5 at the same time. Seeing the 4 ice leopards dropping to the ice, Valerie's eyes became lifeless. She can just watch without any expression as Evan once again walked towards the ice leopards and looked for cores with a hopeful look. While Evan was looking for cores, suddenly Valerie thought about something and her eyes opened wide. She didn't realize this earlier because she was too busy thinking about how to steal a kill that she completely ignored this fact. He is using that skill so many times. Seeing the power of that skill, it is normal for him to run out of mana. Then why is he looking completely fine? Just how much mana does he have? Valerie thought and started to wonder if Evan is really a human. She knew if she uses this kind of skill for so many times she will surely run out of mana. Valerie was right when she thought Evan was using a large amount of mana each time he uses his skill. Although Evan is just a D rank hunter, his mana capacity is comparable to that of a C+ rank hunter because of his Monarch core and mutated Prime core. Not only these two gave him a large amount of mana, but they also give him a higher regeneration speed, especially his Monarch core that can recover his mana in just a few minutes. He noticed the mana regeneration speed of his Monarch core become even greater after he got 1 unit of the shadow energy. Evan got 1 more core from the 4 ice leopards this time. Evan put away the core into his storage ring, and Valerie can only see him with eyes full of envy. Although with her background she can easily get as many C-rank cores as she wants, she never used the money to get cores for herself and always gathered them by herself. After collecting the core, Evan and Valerie once again walked forward, and after 10 minutes they finally reached the ice pyramid. When Evan came near the ice pyramid, he saw a portal that was the same as the one from which he entered the dungeon. Seeing the portal, Evan guessed this portal will most likely lead them to the 2nd floor. "We can go to the 2nd floor using this portal," Valerie confirmed Evan's thought when she saw the portal. She was very eager to go to the 2nd floor because she wasn't able to do anything on the 1st floor. "Do you want to rest for a bit before going in?" Although Valerie was eager to go to the 2nd floor, she still asked Evan since he was using his skill all the time. "I am fine, we can enter." Evan's mana was already fully recovered and only 1 hour passed since they entered the dungeon, so he was not tired. Valerie nodded her head after hearing him and walked toward the portal with an eager expression. Evan also followed behind her and they entered the portal. Upon entering the portal, Evan found himself standing before the entrance of a forest. The trees of the forest were very high, reaching 30 meters of height. Just like the 1st floor, everything here was also covered in ice, including the trees of the forest. "So we have to reach at the other end of this forest if we want to clear this floor?" Evan asked Valerie, who was standing beside him. "Yes," Valerie nodded and said, "This forest is not big, only 100 kilometers square, so it won't take long for us to reach the other end of the forest. but since the forest is not big we will encounter monsters occasionally here. Let's go then. Evan nodded his head after hearing Valerie and walked forward. The forest was eerie silent and only the sound of Evan and Valerie's footsteps rang out in the surroundings. Howl. But the silence didn't last long, as not even a minute after entering the forest Valerie and Evan heard a howl of a wolf. Both of them stopped walking and looked in front of them. Howl, 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 howl. Soon they heard the howls of many other wolves and the sound of approaching footsteps rang out. 1, 2, 5, dash. In just a few seconds 10 wolves who were 1 meter long and 2 meters high appeared before them. The wolves were covered in pure white fur and had blue eyes. An icy aura was being released from their bodies that made their surroundings colder. Ice wolves, Valerie muttered when she saw the wolves. Evan extended his hand and his nether steel sword shot out from his shadow. Valerie, who was standing beside him, was startled when a sword shot out from the ground. This time Evan decided to fight using his sword instead of killing them with his skill. His dimensional shadow bullet skill uses quite a big amount of mana, and he needs a few minutes to recover it, but Valerie just told him there are many monsters in this small forest and he might not get a chance to recover his mana. On the first floor, he always gets some time after killing ice leopards. That was enough for him to recover his mana, but now that he might not get a chance to recover it, he decided to fight using the sword. He will only use his skill if necessary. Valerie was a little startled when she saw a sword coming out from the ground, but when she saw Evan didn't kill all the 10 wolves using his strange skill, she was overjoyed. She can finally spill the blood. She was so happy that she wanted to cry. Just when both of them were about to attack the wolves, Evan and Valerie saw a wolf that was bigger than the wolves standing in front of them appear behind the group of 10 wolves. This wolf was 2 meters long and 3 meters high. A spike-like dark blue horn was coming out from its forehead and was giving a chilly feeling to the onlookers. Even though it was also C-rank monster, both Valerie and Evan can feel this wolf was more powerful than other wolves. When Evan saw this wolf, he remembered the shadow wolf that he killed a few days ago. That wolf used its minions to assess his weakness and tired him first so that it can kill him. Evan guessed this wolf is the same and first wanted to confirm their power before making its move. He even wondered if sending their minions is some kind of sacred ritual of the wolves. Although the wolf was different, it was still a C-rank monster and both Evan and Valerie were not afraid of it. Ice walk, Valerie muttered, and an icy blue aura appeared around her legs. Swish, she shot toward the wolves at such high speed that even Evan found it hard to see her figure. Valerie appeared near the group of 3 wolves and her eyes shimmered with blue color. Blizzard, Valerie said and swung her light blue sword toward the group of wolves. A snowstorm that was filled with sharp ice spikes shot out from the tip of her sword, which engulfed all 3 wolves in an instant. Howl. All 3 wolves who were caught in the snowstorm howled pitifully. The snowstorm was like an icy tornado that was filled with ice spikes. The bodies of the wolves were ravaged by ice spikes that turned them into skewers. That sword is not normal. Evan gave Valerie's sword an extra glance before looking at the other wolves. Howl. The wolf with the blue horn howled in fury when 3 of its underlings were killed instantly. Just as the wolf howled, the horn on its forehead shined with dark blue light, and 7 beams of blue energy shot toward the remaining 7 wolves. When the blue beam of energy entered the bodies of the remaining 7 wolves, their aura instantly skyrocketed, almost reaching C+ rank. Chapter 80 Ice-Horned Wolf, Part 1. Evan looked at the shining horn at the top of the wolf's forehead and the remaining wolves whose power suddenly skyrocketed. Seeing how the wolf with the horn improved the power of its underlings, Evan realized this wolf is different from the shadow wolf he faced in the wilderness. That wolf didn't care about its underlings and used them as cannon fodders to gauge his strength, but this wolf is not using its underlings as cannon fodder and even buffing them. Howl, howl. All the 7 wolves howled and the air around them became colder. Tens of ice spikes that were releasing a cold aura materialized around them and they shot all of them toward Valerie, who just killed 3 wolves. Seeing tens of ice spikes coming towards her, Valerie tapped her foot on the ground, and a 2 meters high and 1 meter thick ice wall emerged in front of her. Boom, boom, boom. Booming sounds echoed out as the ice spikes clashed against the thick ice wall. Valerie was rather confident in her ice wall, but her face changed greatly when the wall started to crack by the onslaught of the ice spikes. Evan looked at the ice spikes that suddenly started to shine with a blue aura and noticed how the wolf with a horn even increased the power of those attacks. It can even increase the power of its pack attack. Evan was shocked because he realized the power of those spikes was very close to C+ rank. With tens of spikes whose power is near C+ rank, how can Valerie's ice wall can stop them? Boom! A defeating booming sound rang out and the wall was completely shattered. Ice Walk. Valerie had no choice but to dodge the ice spikes using another of her skill. After seeing the strange power of the horn wolf, Evan also didn't wait anymore. Seeing how the fight was escalating, he was worried about other monsters coming here. After hearing the commotion, the forest was quite small and was filled with different types of monsters. He didn't think even for a moment that other monsters will not notice them. Evan used mana reinforcement and the light blue layer of the mana along with a faint black layer appeared around him. He just used 80% power of the mana reinforcement so that his body won't feel any pressure because of the shadow energy. After using mana reinforcement, Evan shot toward one of the wolves, but just as Evan charged forward his face changed. He tried to stop after coming near one wolf but realized because of the icy ground the friction was very low and he can't control his speed. Boom! Evan's body crashed against one of the ice wolves who was blasted 2 meters away and Evan fell to the ground. Just as Evan fell to the ground, he felt a cold gaze on him. He looked beside him and saw one ice wolf looking at him with its blue eyes. Hearing the booming sound, other wolves who were attacking Valerie also stopped and looked at Evan. Don't mind me, I am just passing by, Evan said to the wolf who was close to him. Rah. The wolf didn't give shit what Evan was saying and lunged towards him while baring its fang. The wolf that was blasted away after crashing against Evan also stood up and shot 2 ice spears toward him. Shit, Evan cursed when he saw the wolf and the ice spear coming towards him. He was still on the ground after crashing against the wolf, so he has no chance of dodging. Evan gritted his teeth and stopped using mana reinforcement since he can't use skills while the mana reinforcement is activated. He lifted his nether steel sword with his right hand to block the sharp claw of the wolf, and shot 2 bullets toward the incoming ice spears using his left hand. Because he didn't shoot the bullet using shadows, the mana consumption was low compared to before. Clang! Boom! Boom! The sharp icy claw of the wolf clashed against the nether steel sword and it was sent flying. At the same time, his shadow bullets clashed against 2 ice spears. With a booming sound, both ice spears and shadow bullets were destroyed, sending shockwaves around them. Ice shard flew everywhere along with cold air, making it look like an icy storm. Because of the buff provided by the horn wolf, the power of all wolves was very close to C+ rank. Evan's physical strength is not on C+ rank without using mana reinforcement, so although he somehow blocked the claw attack of the wolf, his sword was sent flying. His right hand from which he was holding the sword was trembling and the wolf already lifted its claw to attack him again. Just as the wolf slashed with its claw, a light blue layer of the mana also appeared around Evan. Since he successfully stopped the ice spear, he once again used mana reinforcement. His right hand stopped trembling, and he threw a punch to meet with the wolf claw. Caca, howl. After using mana reinforcement, Evan's physical strength was comparable to a C+ rank hunter, and even after the buff of the horn wolf, these wolves were not C+ rank monsters. The claw of the wolf was shattered when it clashed with Evan's fist and red blood spurted out. Taking the advantage of the situation, Evan kicked the wolf right at the center of the stomach and sent it flying backward. After sending the wolf fly backward, he was finally able to stand up and looked at his hand that was bleeding. There was a deep claw mark on his hand from which he clashed with the wolf earlier. Evan looked around him and saw his nether steel sword 10 meters away from him. 10 meters was not a long distance for him, so he instantly appeared near the sword. This time, because of his last experience, he did not crash against anyone and stopped near the sword. 5 wolves who were fighting against Valerie saw Evan sending flying one of the wolves, and 2 of them tried to come toward Evan, howl, but the horned wolf howled and those wolves once again started to focus on Valerie. After seeing its 5 underlings taking care of the 2-legged female animal, the horned wolf stepped forward and looked at Evan with the other 2 wolves.